But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If Earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat Earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate as I mess around with my microphone. My bad. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Sven P, Curved Fart, Pablo de la Cruz, Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, Survive the Spin, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Tiers Morgan, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, JMels24, Unimento, Iron26, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Young Cat, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon are below this video. But with that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google, so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. Can someone in Discord acknowledge that they heard Surf Daddy?
I heard him. Surf Daddy.
You could hear Surf Daddy.
Nice. Hello, Discord. Hello.
Just chill a second. Did you hear Surf Daddy saying hello again?
Yes, sir.
Surf Daddy, did you hear that? Yes, sir.
Yes, I did. Roger, Wilco, out.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, for whatever reason, this computer did an update and then connected itself to my daughter's laptop, which, when I said I don't want to link that OneDrive and declined, it simultaneously signed me out of absolutely everything. And then upon signing in, or back into everything, one by one, which has taken 50 minutes, none of the settings were all lined up. So it's a good job I've got a good memory for it. But I've managed to go through every single setting on OBS, Voice Meter, Meet, Discord, and Google. And now everything's set. The only thing that I haven't set is the noise reduction that keeps your line clean going into G+. On the plus side, you guys will be able to hear music now. Until I change that.
Wow. I would have been screwed if that would happen to me.
Well, I've got a book full of all the passwords, and I've got all the double verification set up to go to my phone and my iPad, just depending on what it is. I have them going to different places, so that I'm not all being verified on the same device. Anyway, I've just had to go through all that double verification for each of my 4 YouTube accounts as well. That was another pain in the ass, signing into Oakley Cord, Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, and Flat Earth Debate channel. You're like, oh, it's taken an eternity. I think I upset my daughter because I was like, you turn into the Incredible Hulk, and she was around when I'm going, Eleanor's account signed into mine, and then she was literally right there, and I think I scared her, so she ran off crying. So I'm going to have to go and apologise to her now. Now that it's working, I'll be back in a minute once I'm going to go and apologise to Eleanor. Back in a second.
What's up, Eli? You missed it yesterday, man. We did 8 hours at Worldwide Debate. Oh, not 8, but the whole thing was in 8 hours. Yeah, so like we ended the show, then Nathan ended the after show. We were just hanging out, and then he just asked a stupid question like, "You want to join a Discord server?" Like, you gotta ask? Yeah. So we went to Worldwide Debate. What a bunch of freaking idiots over there. Oh my God.
I did miss it. I was from my daughter's graduation. I went to a barbecue with the family.
Nice.
Yeah, so as I had no idea what was going on with the rest of the world yesterday.
Yeah, you gotta bring your phone with you and pop in. I mean, at barbecue, yeah, I go to those events, but I'm still pop in to see what's happening. But anyway, yeah, you had all the freaking everybody that doesn't come here. They were all lining up. Edda Bear, Bev, Rob Noxious, all the freaking usual suspects were there.
Mm. They're
And
the
and you know what the funny thing is? They all got freaking dismembered one by one, and sometimes all at the same time. And guess what? They were screaming, "We won! We kicked your ass!" Wow,
They
we
always
destroyed
do that.
Nathan.
They always do that. They're
Yeah.
delusional, man. We already know.
It's freaking. It's funny though, because how do you say? It's delusional. So if you can go and take a victory from any of that yesterday, then you get serious mental issues. But here's the thing. They think their points are correct. So that's why they think they win. Oh, levels equidistant from the center of the ball. So they think they win because it says it in Merriam-Webster.
Horizontal is horizontal. Level is level. Straight is straight. Next question. Read my book. That should be it. You wonder why we have to argue about whether this level is level and that this straight line is straight? Read my book, and we'll show you 10 years of getting to this point. Measure the earth flat. Now move on and have a great day, because you've always had a great day measuring the earth flat, and you always will. Carry on.
What's up, One Deck? What's
Hiya,
up,
mate.
Glenn?
You all right? What time did the non-argument debate end last night?
I think it was kind of like near 12 your time.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Bloody. I bet you're knackered, aren't you, Nathan?
It's funny you should say that, because I just heard Paul McCartney use that phraseology.
Knackered.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. They're freaking retards, aren't they, though? I know you probably already spoke about it. I'm a bit late in, but they're like hyenas, aren't they? Hyenas.
Yeah. Well, they're hyenas without the bite. You know what I'm saying? Because hyenas got a vicious bite, They lock down on you, they're snapping bones. So they're hyenas without the bite.
But they've got to pack up like hyenas in order to, just disturb things and cause chaos and cause disturbance, talking nonsense about how do you measure a road, how do you measure a hill, how do you measure a basketball. When we're talking about the shape of Earth measured
Don't
flat.
forget the cue. Don't forget the cue ball.
Oh, did that come into it as well?
Oh yeah, the cue ball was in there too.
Everything besides Earth measurements.
Yep, everything besides Earth, how you can measure running around a track, a quarter-mile track, and it's a continued going to the right. You mean to tell me you can't measure that, and that's not a curved measurement? No, you dumb bastard. The measurement itself is linear. From the inch to the freaking mile, you dumbass.
Yeah.
There are no
Well, that's
arc
what they
measurements.
Yeah, but like Nathan said, they want you to argue about a track and a basketball. We're not talking. It's not worldwide basketball debate, is it, or worldwide racing track day? Sorry, I'm just moving back.
Nathan hit it right in the head. What they are is they're just a bunch of fart sniffing retards. And you had Ed Bear in there trying to get his measured flat destructive dichotomy in there. You had Bev popping in there. They all wanted a piece, you know?
Yeah. Grown men, but they're in the same state as the dad engineer was, but they've progressed to a worse state, haven't they? I mean, that was the beginning of the engineering dad yesterday when he was faced with this problem. They faced this problem a while ago, and look how what they've turned into now. You know what I mean?
Morning.
How are you?
Hello.
I'm all right. How are you?
Everything is roses.
That's good to hear.
Well, I've been playing basketball.
I've been playing pool.
And I think my mate's been running around a racetrack.
All right, now that everything's queued up, can we get on with the show?
Everything is queued up. I've had all sorts of technical issues this morning. So for whatever reason, my daughter's account was set up under my name, and that's caused no problems for however many years she's had that laptop, probably 3 or 4 years now. It's coming to the end of its usefulness. It's getting really knackered. But today the computer did an update, and suddenly I've got all my daughter's thumbnails all over my screen, and everything that's useful has been signed out. So I'm like, oh, I've had to do a whole lot of work, so there's not a great deal of pre-show, unfortunately. What I do want to do in today's live show, though, is get straight back into the Feast of Nonsense. So we are on Feast of Nonsense Part 9, and these questions, I think we've reached about number 45. Globe model was created 500 years ago by Masonic cult members. I think we did cover that yesterday. Was that the last one we covered?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 46. No one has ever circumnavigated the Earth from north to south, only east to west. Who wants to take that?
I think we may have covered that, but, you know, them cardinal directions are horizontal directions anyway. So if you're going to go in any of them directions using a compass, you know, parallel to the surface of Earth, it will be in a horizontal direction.
Exactly.
You mean south is not the bottom?
No, that's the wrong direction fallacy. So absolutely spot on, Neil and Wandek. So what this does is conflate azimuth and altitude. So I actually cover this in the chapter of my book called The Molten Iron Core, I think is the chapter that covers this, where the description of azimuth is horizontal orientation, measured from north in degrees. That azimuth directionality, horizontal in nature, flat earth prerequisite by definition, is not the bottom or top of anything. It's not up or down. To suggest that it is to utilise something called the wrong direction fallacy. Now, in flat earth debate terminology, from the old school garbage way of arguing whether or not Earth's a ball, you have this position where if we automatically assume Earth is a ball, and the only debate that's in effect when we describe it that way for this particular subject matter is to have a vertically orientated magnetic field that is only debated about in terms of Curie points and its acquisition through the heliocentric timeline, when in reality directionality is acquired by these magnetic field lines for a horizontal orientation. So to suggest, when ignoring flat earth prerequisites and measurements, as is always the case, we can then utilise a vertically orientated north and south, top and bottom of a globe that we're circumnavigating, and put it in false dichotomy with a east-west. So, with this being in mind, we can whistle past the actual flat earth measurements in the horizontal and argue in false dichotomy about the globe versus non-globe, with both using azimuthal directionality from horizontal. So that's the purpose of this question. Regardless of what's been navigated or in what direction for this description of circumnavigation, the conventions that would give us anything to be describing cyclically to move around if we were to do so would be a convention that in and of itself affirms a flat earth by prerequisite. That is to say, you'll need a flat earth, in this case azimuth and directionality, to navigate with, to then juxtapose east-west, west-east with north-south when both are planar. Done. Anybody got anything else they'd like to add to that?
Don't think you could add anything else to that, Nathan. I think you covered it fantastically, and it's so easy to understand. All you've got to do is to prove that the Earth is flat is go and buy a map and a compass and go on a hike, and you will be demonstrating how flat the Earth is.
I'm stuttering away at how to respond to this. I think it's the Antikytherian mechanism. It's just listed as one of the things. It doesn't have any description of what that's relevant to. Are you all aware of this device that was dredged up, allegedly?
Got the Antikythera mechanism. Is that what you said, Nathan?
Yeah, Antikythera, that's how I say it. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. The mechanism that was dredged up that's accurately depicting biomechanical means the motions of the lights.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, clock reference to the sky, or I think it was something like that. Obviously, the celestial, the movements, or something along that lines.
And what's this supposed to be, proof of this, whatever the mechanism's called?
I don't know. I mean, it's alleged to give you an accurate depiction of the celestial movements. But you're like, okay. I mean, if they're using the current rhetoric of heliocentric motion derived from flat plane measurements to give you radial values, then it's ultimately just describing two planes. So the origins of our current system are a flat planar surface, ground level, sea level, whatever you want to call it, and a planar sky that you can measure with angles to stars and then describe as a glorified protractor wrapped around you when measuring the planar parallel sky with ground. That mathematical derivation of angle measurement from a plane can be converted into sphericity by way of taking one single star as the starting point, Polaris, and measuring a 1 degree declination towards the horizon as you back away from that star. The angle with respect to a flat plane decreases towards the horizon as it moves along the parallel sky with the ground. But from your perspective, with a curved protractor from a planar positional system, you can measure its angle decline as you move away from it, the rate being 1 degree for every 60 nautical miles. When you reach its minimum, it's on the horizon as you measure it. That would be the equator. Now, with this convention and derivation of a radial value, that is to say, when you measure that angle, you can extrapolate that out into an area of equal elevation we call latitude lines, sometimes referred to in terms of global hijacking when they're describing travelling along great circles. Well, these circles, by convention, don't really exist. They're just a derivation of a flat Earth angle prerequisite measurement of Earth's surface with a parallel sky. Once you've got these derived circles and radial values, you can then put into effect conversions into sphericity, so you can put in motion the ground you measured flat at a plane that you stand within the protractor I just described and call that a globe, and then put that in motion around the sun on a separate but similar plane of reference. That extended plane can be called the celestial plane if you're trying to mark out angles with positional information through the globe Earth protractor to an infinitely distant extra protractor with the stars plotted on them. But again, this describes, by convention after measurement of angle, two planes, one the sky, one the ground, with angles being measured to them. And that's how you can put into motion heliocentrism. Again, to bring this to a point, if that's suggested to be applicable to the Antikytherian mechanism, then that would ultimately describe flat planar derivations of surface level angle measurements if it's to be claimed to be accurate or comparable to what is currently applied to the planar surface we measure with angles to stars. Anybody got anything else on this anti-Catherian mechanism?
No.
Anybody know how to say it? I say anti-Catherian, but is that correct pronunciation? Not that it particularly matters. Antikythera. That's its title, The Antikythera. If I'm correct in pronunciation, then great. If I'm not, please correct me in the comments with... Go ahead.
Antikythera.
I'm close enough. I'm going to stick with how I say it. Sounds better.
Yeah, I kind of butchered it a little bit, but it's okay.
Not
like I
really,
said,
it's not important.
Antikythera or something.
As long as we know,
Yeah.
it's only by convention, not by convention, by Socratic inference that we all know what we're talking about. There's no need to actually agree on the pronunciation. It's kind of irrelevant, as long as we know what we're talking about when we talk about this thing that's been dredged up. Anyway, let's move on. Next one, again, is kind of useless in terms of its explanation. It just says sundials. So in terms of sundials, it's just a very basic flat Earth measurement of a sun angle. I mean, it couldn't be more flat Earth affirming. It's an absolute prerequisite, like any flat Earth, like any Earth measurement, to measure the angle to the sun from a planar level tool called sundial requires an axiomatic planar measurement of an angle. Again, I always feel like I'm redundant when I'm saying this. It's like I don't need to add the same statement onto the facts when you're just measuring an angle off a plane with a sundial.
Wait a second. So you're telling me that the sundial is a level plane? It's not like curved and arched on a ball?
No, it's just
sundial?
It's just a platform that's been leveled with
with
a angle device that's accurately placed on that flat plane that will cast a shadow on the flat surface. That's all a sundial is. It's really basic.
Yeah, but it's
probably
devastating to the ball. Sorry, go on deck.
I'm just saying, probably if he was using the sun's light and casting it onto a basketball, you wouldn't get an angle then, would you?
No. Same goes for moondials. Sundials, moondials, same thing. It's just a straight up flat Earth prerequisite angle measurement to derive a concept.
So basically what you're saying, Nathan,
from the sun, time. Good.
Are you basically saying time is measured flat?
Yeah, you're correct. That's the base origin, as crude as it seems, of our inference when we use the convention of time. That's what it is. It's just a measurement of the sun. Again, if you want to extrapolate this out into a pseudo-Riemannian space-time geometry bending time, well, what's time? Well, this convention we've derived from the sun, if we're going to describe it in this convention, there are others, like entropy. That's just a similar but not identical description of time, the arrow of time, as we describe entropic dispersion, decay, osmosis. Those are descriptions of the arrow of time. It's just a very different way of describing the process that we exist within. But if you just base it on the light in the sky, it's just based on an angle measurement. It is as simple as that. I mean, you can extrapolate that into the longitude system, but ultimately it's still just derived from a movement of a light that's been averaged.
You see, how did we miss that? Something as plain and simple as the sundial that was there the whole time, and we missed it.
We missed all of it. All of the Earth measurements. I'll just say this in a different way. Earth measurements are flat. That's no exception to that rule. It's just a statement of how we measure Earth. If you're measuring Earth, you are measuring it flat. What about the hills and valleys? You measure the deviation in topographical terms from a horizontal plane of reference, measured in miles. So if you want to describe how, topographically speaking, it's not flat, then you require it to be flat in the linear distance measurement of the surface, or as the crow flies, to describe the millimetre accuracy of the vertical deviations. Oh, that's going to irritate me. What was that noise? Did somebody just leave Discord? I need to fix that.
Yeah, that's what happens when somebody joins Discord or leaves Discord. You're just hearing it now?
Yeah, I need to get rid of that. That needs to be done now. Stupid consequences of having linked accounts. Urgh. Right, so I need to just go into sounds. Sounds. Deafen, preview sound. Undeafen, preview sound. Mute, unmute. I don't need any of these things to make a sound. Right, where's joining and rejoining? Show stream
Right there.
previews. How is that going to get rid of it? Allow others to see a preview of your stream before they join. No, that's not it. Echo cancellation, push to talk. No, I need to find what stops that from... Maybe someone can let me know from the chat how I can stop this.
Would that be in notifications?
Notifications. Sounds. New message, preview sound. No! Incoming ring, preview sound. No! Shut up! Enable unread message badge. No! Shut the... Here we go. Notify me when people know I'm starting streaming small servers. I don't know what the hell that means. I don't think that solved it.
Somebody leave Discord so Nathan could check.
Somebody drop? I have no idea. I'm looking at the settings. No, we can hear that. This is going to piss me off royally for the entire show. No, we can hear you joining and stop doing it now. Thanks. Okay, we got it. Thanks. And friends come online. Is that what it would be?
Might be.
Notify me when friends come on. No, still doing it. Turned everything in the settings off. My apologies if you're listening to this live. Turned all of them off. Notifications. Show advanced notification settings. Allow playback. And it all off. Speak all messages out loud. I don't know what that means. Okay, I'll have to come back to it afterwards. I think I've spent enough time on this temporarily.
Maybe we'll just say, nobody leave Discord, nobody enter Discord.
I'll
Gonna drive me
occasionally get
fucking
kicked
nuts.
out.
I'm
if I
either gonna
don't
have to drop
mix
Discord
with
or
the
figure it out.
computer, just so you know. I'm not jumping out, but it will kick me out occasionally, and I don't mean to do that. I'd rather stay in, but unless I mess with the mouse for some reason, that's what it does to me if I don't touch anything for a while.
Yeah, I just need to know how to stop it making a sound. Every single sound has been turned off. Oh, here we go. Hide 18 sounds. Camera off. Let's just turn all of them off. Voice disconnected. PTT. User join. Preview sound. User leave. User moved. Don't need any of that. Outgoing ring. Don't know what that is. Don't care. Stream started. No, definitely not. Stream drop. Don't care. Viewer join. Don't care. Viewer leave. Oh, why? I don't need notifying with this shit. Right, I think I'm there. I think I've turned them all off. Right, can somebody from Discord please just drop and rejoin?
Bing.
Nobody's... Yeah, there we go. Fixed. Excellent. I've done it. Right.
You fix it?
Yes, I did, yeah. On the fly whilst live. Not exactly the most professional thing I've ever done.
Somebody just dropped it and rejoined and you didn't hear nothing?
Yes, I fixed the problem.
Neither did I, so you fixed my problem too.
Yeah, well, you're connected to the... Don't worry about it.
Well,
Okay.
good, I'm glad.
I fixed it. That's all that matters. Right, sundials is done. Next, it's just gyroscopes.
Wait, before you go on, I just want to say, yesterday you handled that beautifully, how you explained everything pertaining to the measurements and as the crow flies, you really broke it down very well, and they understood perfectly what you were saying. Just to give you a shout out for that.
Oh, thank you. if you're a member, you can watch me joining worldwide debates and beating the ever-living daylights out of about 35 different ballers all at once. It's great. Just for fun. Just for kicks and giggles. As in, just for entertainment. Like, one last hurrah. People are crying out for me to climb back into the pit. So I'm like, fine. If you want absolutely destroying and annihilating, then I have no issue. For the sake of entertainment for my members currently, you can go and watch this 8-hour stream. So initially it was like, I'm doing the dishwasher and sorting out the kids, and therefore not there to keep this discussion going, and everybody had gone a bit quiet. So I was like, do you want me to join a random server so there's people for you to listen to? So I clicked around in a couple of the servers and then found one that had got a load of people in, and then let it play out. And then after about half an hour of us being in there, they hailed me to answer questions, which I declined. I was like, there is no debate. It was Jesse Path of Light asking me if I'd like to debate about Earth curvature. And my opener was to say, there is no debate. You will derive drop from a linear horizontal mile measurement. And sure enough, within about 30 minutes of rumpusing and deflecting and ignoring points that I wasn't going to be debating about, Jesse eventually got to his 4th flat Earth prerequisite when he derived drop over a linear horizontal mile measurement for distance. So that was the opener for me to say, there is no debate. I won't be answering any of your questions. I'm here as a guest. Now, there was some suggestion that I'd be moved into a different room to give me the ability to mute people, although I declined that offer to make it unequivocally clear that I was in open debate on an open, neutral platform that I did not have control of, that was not mine, that I did not run. There, unexpectedly. Towards the end of me being there, literally, I had people crying out to have me muted because they couldn't bear to hear how they, because I didn't make any claims, used their own words suggested to infer sphericity as flat Earth proofs time and time and time again. So if you want to see that, join as a member. It's an 8-hour stream. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say 7.5 of those 8 hours are packed with the absolute living daylights beaten out of your favourite bull-believing clowns. So if you like that sort of thing, become a member and watch that 8-hour stream.
Oh, wait a second, because I was hearing that they were beating you.
No, they weren't. Every time that happened, so occasionally there'd be, oh, well, we win then. I'd re-break down what had been asserted in explicit detail to explain how Earth was being measured flat by a suggestion never made by me, utilised by them, by way of flat Earth prerequisite. It would be summarised and pointed out to them. And then I would give them the worst vitriol I could possibly muster. So at points they were saying, look, we respect you, and, you know, we want to hear what you've got to say on the subject. I would immediately point out that I had absolutely no respect for any of them. And verbally, I made them absolutely acutely aware how little respect I had for them, while I insulted them with their own flat Earth prerequisite measurements over and over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it like that.
The thing is, nobody else is doing it like you, Nathan, like that. You know, you was just spitting out facts and explaining that you've not measured the Earth. The Earth's always been measured flat, and you're using ballers, flat Earth prerequisites to try and suggest that you live on a ball. How embarrassing.
Nobody does it half as good as you, baby. Yeah, anyway. Astrolabes, number 50. Astrolabes. It's just one word, so I'm just going to read it out as it's presented to me.
I'm going to hey, Nathan, you didn't do... I was just going to say, I don't know how a gyroscope actually works, but I'm sure it's just to remain rigid in space.
Correct.
Because I think we use on gyroscopes. Yeah. So I don't know the ins and outs of how it works, but I don't think that's absolutely necessary to go into an argument with anybody about that. The purpose of it is to remain rigid in space. If you set it up horizontally, it'll remain horizontal.
Exactly.
I do believe that.
Well, that's what it's practically applied with. That's what it has to offer in terms of useful practical application. The fact that it remains rigid in space is what's useful about a gyroscope. So yeah, what else can you say? It's a tool for confirming how level you can remain and show any deviations from the plane of reference you set up when you spin it up or cage it. That's what it's for. Demonstrating rigidity in space so you can reference horizontal with it. There's nothing else to say, really.
Yeah, but in that freaking Netflix thing, they showed a 15-degree-an-hour drift.
If the
I was
drift,
just going to say,
okay, no worries.
15
I
degree
like
drift. Thanks, Bob.
I like to lead into that. So, yeah, okay. If we infer that a faulty gyro, that's the only reason you'd be able to buy it. If it wasn't faulty, it'd be on a fucking aircraft. Nevertheless, this gets described in a chapter called The Ether in my upcoming book, where I describe Bob Nodell alleging to be, oh no, I've accidentally let you know how devastating this is, on a hot mic that will be wired about his person uncomfortably and constantly being checked by soundmen for battery levels and things like that. But nevertheless, it was alleged like a bleeding soap opera that, oh no, my gyro's drifting. Well, what does that actually mean? If it's alleged to be confirming Foucault's suggestion of a gyroscopic motion fixed in space, showing the cage move around the gyro at a rate of 15 degrees an hour, that would be because the ground attached to the rigid in space gyroscope is moving with the ground at the alleged Coriolis deflection rate for a sphere, Earth, and a sky vacuum, with a planar, horizontal, non-inertial turning reference frame being the cause of the alleged deviation at 15 degrees per hour from the fixed in space spinning motion of the gyroscope. If that's true, then Earth, if it's attached to the gyro demonstrating this drift, is turning underneath the gyro's fixed in space motion. Ergo, a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles would take approximately 5 hours, does take approximately 5 hours, rather than the hour and a half it would take if Earth was rotating underneath it at 15 degrees an hour, as is alleged to be demonstrated by the gyro. That does not happen. You'd notice. So the alleged drift is what we debunk and then have a reply from people who would be in need of 2 reference frames to demonstrate 15 degrees an hour that's not demonstrated on aircraft that actually use the practical applications of gyroscopic motion to remain in level flight, parallel with surface level, at an altitude measured from surface level, called out by ground control. That gyroscopic motion assists in remaining parallel with the ground at a given altitude. That's how it's useful. So if it drifts at 15 degrees an hour because Earth's turning underneath the fixed frame of the gyro, then planes would have shortened flight times because the Earth would be turning underneath them, something that we do not experience. Now, in active debate, I was proactively contacted by a YouTuber called Sci-Man Dan. And Sci-Man Dan wanted to show me in no uncertain terms how there is no drift, no 15 degrees an hour. It came with a quote, verbatim, you and your reference frames have been ruined. That is to say, the thanks Bob for showing 2 reference frames with a 15 degrees an hour deviation as Earth turns underneath the gyro at 15 degrees an hour. No. If that was the case, then we'd experience shortened flight times. Response from dickhead anti-flat Earth Muppets. You and your reference frames have been ruined. Here's an example of something not drifting. Earth does not demonstrate Coriolis deflection. We don't have any drift. Hence, you need to defend why you don't have any drift with examples of things not drifting. Gyros don't drift at 15 degrees an hour. If they did, they wouldn't be useful. Anything else on gyros, or should we move back over to astrolabes?
I mean, just on the gyro. I mean, not the gyro, but I mean, it's presuming that the Earth is a spinning globe underneath. You're going to need some measurements for that globe. And the only measurements you've got of a globe is from sea level. Because we don't live on a globe, it's measured flat from the 0 degree baseline called sea level. So there is no globe to spin anyway.
Indeedy. Right, who's taking the next one? Astrolabes. Again, it's just a one word, number 50, astrolabes. Who wants to have that?
The astrolabe is a simpler version of the Antikythera mechanism. And I think it was the precursor to the sextant. And it's basically a device for measuring the placement of the stars for navigation.
I do believe, or they say, I think Al-Biruni used one, didn't he, to measure an elevation angle from surface level to get the height of a mountain, I think.
I think it came out or was built and invented 150 BCE.
Indeed.
Sounds a bit muffled there.
Yeah, it's just an angle measuring device. It's akin to a computer in terms of its complexity.
It's astrolabe, ancient, highly versatile astronomical instrument and analog calculator used to measure the positions of celestial bodies, determine latitude, and tell the local time. So basically, it's a sundial, it's a sextant, it's a way to find out what your latitude is.
Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah. And it was used by astronomers, navigators, and astrologers for centuries.
It's a flat Earth tool. Dealing with angle measurements of stars and the sun, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a picture of one being used. You got a picture of one being used in your rotation. It's a guy holding up that circle thing, looking at the star and the horizon of the water underneath him. So basically, it was the original sextant.
Does say here as well, Daddy, an astrolabe uses Earth as its stationary center to model the cosmos, developed when astronomers believed Earth was fixed. It flattens the 3D dimensional sky into a two-dimensional disk.
Oh, at one point, when they believed it was stationary and flat, they used this thing and they navigated all across the Earth for centuries and eons. And then, well, we don't believe it's flat anymore. So the sextant doesn't work, or
but we'll still use it. We'll still use it.
Sounds like it sounds like that it's a flat Earth proof to me.
Yeah, it's by prerequisite.
Yeah, it relies on Earth being flat to use. It was probably, modeled around that fact.
Latitude, you say? Oh dear.
And people are going to have to start contacting Google because contacting Wikipedia, because literally it just says an astrolabe is an astronomical instrument dating to ancient times. It serves as a star chart and physical model of the visible half dome of the sky. The various functions also make it an elaborate inclinometer and an analog calculation device capable of working out several kinds of problems in astronomy. So, yeah, Al-Biruni probably did use it to measure the height of a mountain before he went and calculated some kind of curvature thing, which he probably also used the astrolabe from the mountaintop to the visible horizon for his dip or whatever. But yeah, they're going to have to change it when they're talking about the half dome of the sky. What the heck?
That's actually plain hour as well. So I described this earlier just to reiterate. So if you're describing, when he says, I can't remember the term it's used, but he's basically describing altitudes in terms of the angle representation of your position with respect to a planar sky. That is to say, if this is your zenith with respect to the sky, and then something over here on a parallel planar sky is beyond your zenith, if you were to measure it, the degree is represented by the curve. Yeah? That's what we're talking about. But the degree measurement being represented by a curve just represents where it's positionally represented to us as we look at the star from the ground. So it's a parallel, that's planar sky over a planar surface for it to be represented with the arc of the protractor. What did you? He said inclinometer or something. That just means it's dealing with altitude. That's all that really means. It's a nice word though. Inclinometer. Fantastic.
Right. A clinometer or inclinometer is
Inclinometer. That's a great word. Yeah. I've never heard that before.
It's how you measure the heights of buildings or trees or
exactly
the stars from a horizontal plane.
Exactly. So it's dealing with altitudes. So what's an altitude? Well, that's perpendicular in the vertical with respect to a planar surface. That's what it is axiomatically. Again, I laugh because whenever I do this, I feel like I'm offering a layer of redundancy. And I am. These things, figuratively, go without saying. But because they go without saying, people don't say them, and therefore it's almost, or is, in the case of globe Earth versus non-globe Earth debate, it's literally overlooked as being a prerequisite flat Earth planar measurement because it goes without saying. So when I start saying it, I have to laugh because I'm like, I'm offering redundancy something that's a prerequisite or axiom. So you can't, you know, when you add on a layer of saying it's flat because it's flat, and that's because it's flat when we measure it flat, you kind of feel like you should chuckle along to the prerequisites. But if you do just leave them as, well, as I put it, go without saying, then nobody's pointing it out, and people who violate base principles and axioms can get away with it because nobody's mentioned the glaring violation of a prerequisite that's being utilised, but just goes without saying, oh, right, so we can just use it flat by axiomatic principle and then bend that which we've used as flat to suggest sphericity. Like yesterday, so in the discussions that a members-only chat is going to be afforded if you join, we were describing areas of equal elevation acquisition. So you measure your angle to the star, and then that angle's minus from 90 and times by 60, and that gives you the distance to the GP below the star. So from your position to the star's position, I'll just do it in this axis. So from your position, if this is the angle being measured to the star, and this is your vertex point that you're measuring from, where my knuckle that I'm pointing at is, then the angle acquisition that you're measuring is ultimately always going to be a planar acquisition of this angle. It's a prerequisite flat Earth that you're measuring to derive a circle around the GP point. So if you're plotting it on a map, once you've got this distance, taking this angle, minusing this angle from 90, the 90 degree below the star to your position, and timesing it by the convention that we can extrapolate out distance for degrees that this star is on a flat sky when you measure it with a protractor. That will give you a circle derived from the radius that you calculated. So minusing the degree from 90, timesing it by 60 gives you this distance, and you can draw a circle with it. That's a radius value because it's forming a circle. Ergo, it cannot bend. Now, Jesse Path of Light, Dumbo that he is, was ascribing a bent surface to this calculation from flat Earth angle measurement, giving you a radial value. His inference being, well, we can bend that radius. No, you can't. Areas of equal elevation, two-dimensional circles, otherwise known as circles of equal altitude, are derived from flat extrapolations of angles calculated into radial values derived into flat sphericity by way of conversion after the flat circle has been conjured. So you measure Earth flat with an angle, convert it to a conventional distance in nautical miles, Ergo, the radius that gives you is and can only be a flat Earth linear distance. Yeah, they want to bend radii, don't they? So I absolutely hammered the living daylights out of him through every ounce of insulting muster I could possibly deliver to this. I won't repeat some of the swear words that I used as I grilled him and drilled him with the flat Earth prerequisite linear radial value that he required for his circle of equal elevation when he described celestial navigation, as they did. Whistling past flat Earth prerequisites has been the name of the game for 10 straight years. And going into a debate forum, because there was no debate, and just saying, I don't have to answer any of you clowns and your questions put to me, because all I will ever do is tell you how Earth is measured flat and correct you when you assert a violation of your own base principles that you will also measure Earth with. I didn't do any suggested measurements or make any claims regarding any measurements. All I did continually for 7.5 straight hours was take the words that came out of Globe Believers' mouths and showed them where Earth could only be measured flat by their own prerequisite measurements that they're utilising. Again, because it goes without saying that the radius for a circle of equal altitude is unbendable, we can say it bends because no one's mentioned how flat the radius is until I come along. And then I'll tell you, no, you can't bend this distance. Earth's got to be flat by way of measurement for this to function. And it is. All Earth measurements are flat, including but not limited to suggestions of globe. They're never going to be anything other than a derived value from a flat measurement every single time.
That's why, Nathan, your book is going to be cutting edge. There's been no other book like it. Nothing will surpass it. This is on the edge of things now. You demonstrated it yesterday. Yeah, not done it for a while, but you stuck to where we are now and letting them demonstrate to you how they will use these prerequisites. They need a flat Earth more than we do. They have to use a flat Earth for their globe. And you highlighted it magnificently. And I can't wait for the book. Everybody buy this book and everything will become clear.
Yeah, the publisher got in touch and asked my wife to send him another clean copy because we were sending strings of emails with attachment after attachment. So, like, you know, in your reply, it just in Google adds like a string of emails prior to it to the list and becomes very confusing. Or so my publisher was moaning about. I mean, you know, not moaning, just saying that he was struggling to figure out which was the most recent copy as we're at draft 13.5. I was like, Paula, can you send him another one? So she did. And then I'd sent a couple of corrections that I'd looked through for about the half dozenth time in the last week or so that I've read through the book. And there's the highlighted couple of full stops that were missing weren't on the version that was then resent, i.e. 13.5 didn't have those corrections. And I think that's why it became confusing. So after my wife had sent it, 13.5, the draft, I'd then said, oh, I've gone through it afterwards. There's a couple of missing full stops here and here. So whether or not they get picked up on is kind of like, I'm just going to... If there's a couple of missing full stops in the book, that's just the way it'll have to be on the first ebook draft, on the first revision. I mean, I doubt he'll be going through it to what's the word, proofread it. He's a publisher. So it'll only be my fault if there's missing full stops. But like I say, I've done 13.5 drafts, and it's as good as I can possibly get it. If I spot any, he's said specifically, just let me know and I'll make the corrections. So maybe, given that I have let him know, a couple of corrections to make. Hopefully he'll make those corrections. We'll see. If not, we'll do them on the fly afterwards. It's getting closer. A couple more weeks.
like you say, Nathan, it's a couple of minor problems. You want it absolutely perfect, obviously, but the sad thing is, and you know it'll be the case, that they're the kind of things that could only be picked out of your book by, insane globers, that there's a full stop missing, because they won't be able to pull anything else on what you're saying about how Earth has always been measured flat and always will be. But that's how sad things are for these people who believe they live on a spinning water ball in the psychological dilemmas.
On silent because I'm trying to remember the chapter to reference. I will get better with this as time progresses. But at one point yesterday, I was being asked about how I felt about a 24-hour sun being alleged to be acquired from elevation angle measurements in Antarctica. And it was phrased to me in a way as if to say, ha ha, we've got flat Earth 24-hour sun measurements. That was kind of how it was put to me. I'm not exaggerating by that. That's how it was put. Now, in response, I delivered, not verbatim, but almost identical response that I gave to Pt9 himself when he phoned me up personally, alleging to be in Antarctica after measuring Earth flat for a 24-hour period, as him and all of his compadres did. Other than Dave Dumbo McKeegan, who couldn't figure out how to use a tripod, they all measured Earth flat there. Now, when it was put to me that they'd measured a flat Earth prerequisite surface level with a tool that's levelled, suggested to be on a equatorial plane, that's an equatorial mount, same one Dave couldn't quite cope with, I pointed out that the Earth is being measured flat with this tool. Now, the response to Toon was, where's the guns, Nathan? The response that I got from the server yesterday was, we don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's change the subject. While I, over and over again, pointed out that Earth was being measured flat with elevation angles. Now, their response, eventually, after about, I think we counted up to about 8 or maybe 7 times, that I was getting to the point where I was counting off their inability to cope with me turning their ha-ha 24-hour sun in Antarctica and me going, ha-ha, you've measured Earth flat there, other than Dave. And they didn't like it very much. Yeah, suddenly they don't want to talk about Antarctica anymore. So I say things like, do you want to ask me if there's any guns? Instead of the angle measurements that they definitely measured, other than Dave the Dumbo. Yeah, they suddenly don't like Antarctica when you point out that they're measuring Earth flat there.
What direction is Antarctica in?
South.
Did he say?
They didn't like that either.
Oh, dear.
So the first thing some guy did was utilise the wrong direction fallacy to suggest that they have antipodal positioning when they describe horizontal azimuth directionality in a degree from north. That's south. That's a flat Earth measurement by prerequisite, axiomatically only capable of description with respect to a horizontal plane. It's horizontal degrees to give you south. When I pointed out that their directionality was south, again, suddenly they don't want to talk to Antarctica. We think it's a win when we've measured Earth flat for a 24-hour period. Other than Dave Dumbo. It's not. It's an affirmation that you've measured Earth flat. The same affirmation that was delivered to Toon, and I'm not exaggerating, I counted them 100 times at the point I said it to him verbally while he was alleged to be in Antarctica. Same thing happened yesterday. We only get up to 6 or 7 renditions of the exact same prerequisite flat Earth elevation angle that was measured there by all of them. Other than Dumbo Dave. What a clown. Overwhelmed by a tripod. Yeah, Earth's measured flat in Antarctica.
Yeah.
South's flat.
It's amazing because obviously we've had a little bit of pushback from people with, I'll say our side, or flat earthers, in regards to what we're saying over here now, that there is no argument, everything's measured flat, and you don't have to you don't have to, you deal with it. It's just that's the way it is. And it was really good, actually enjoyable yesterday to hear that being put into practice with these clowns, and just you demonstrated how they have to come to realization that they're pointing out how flat it is and how flat it's measured all the time. They've always been doing it, like we've said, yeah, but we missed it. Now we can pick it up at a drop of a hat, yeah, and say you're using a flat Earth measurement. That's a flat Earth direction, measuring the sun for 24 hours. There's no way out of this, guys.
Indeedy. Accidentally banned Unitox Femu instead of Rob Noxious as the chat moved underneath my clicker. Got Rob Noxious in the chat saying, South's the bottom. I've just banned him. Like, no, I'm not going to spend an hour with you educating you on the wrong direction fallacy for you to come into my live stream chat and saying the exact same fallacy, rinse and repeat style. These people wonder why they got banned. This man begged me like a little bitch to unban him from this chat. Now, Neil is alleging that he called the police on him. Now, I'm just saying I've spent my time educating this complete idiot on the wrong direction fallacy utilised by him, getting him to go and look up what azimuth was and have him define how horizontal it is, affirming the use of the wrong direction fallacy when describing things like up, down, top, bottom, when describing azimuthal horizontality for a direction. So when you come to my chat, Rob Noxious, and then say that South's the bottom, after I've taken my very precious time to educate you, a complete arsehole, on how wrong you are, when you come and reassert it, I just ban you immediately, yeah? Because you're a wanker, yeah? I don't want to deal with you anymore. You're a wanker. That's why you've been banned. Just in case you're wondering, why did I get banned? Because I took my time to explain it to you courteously. And you piss it in my face by coming back and asserting the same shit to poison my live stream chat. Now, I hate liars. You are a liar. Yeah, this man also asserted that he was a somebody when I pointed out he weren't, and lied about having 13 million views on TikTok. Because these people are liars. That's what they are. Again, in case they're puzzling over why they get removed from groups, because they're not pleasant people to deal with, they're liars.
It is embarrassing, Nathan, once you realise about the simplicity of a compass and what you're actually doing. Yeah, it's not difficult to understand what's happening with a compass, is it? You're holding it out in front of you, yeah, horizontally, parallel to the ground, and travelling, yeah? And you can point in different directions, but every one of them directions will be horizontal. I mean, what is so difficult to understand about that? That isn't a trick question that, us flat earthers have, if we make this up and say this, that'll make things difficult for them. That's just the way it works. Have you never been in the Scouts or Cubs and gone hiking? You've never used a map and a compass? This is grown men telling you south is up and south is down and north is up. They're pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Grown men. Get a grip.
But some people like it. By a weird turn of events, I was described slightly differently to how I perceive myself in those scenarios. So in years gone by, right up to this particular event, that is to say, I just, by pure idle curiosity, more for my benefit or for the benefit of the panel, because there wasn't much conversation going on when I joined. But out of idle curiosity, I joined the group. This is Worldwide Debates. If I ever publish that video, I will put a link to his server. So he was very gracious. So a bit of tit for tat that I have with the guy. His name's Riggs. And I was telling him he was a terrible moderator because there's people talking straight through me. And he's explaining that he's got different rooms. But if I want to moderate my own room, he can put me in that room, which is very, kind of him. Excuse me. But I said, no, I don't want that. I want to be here without any, so-called advantages. I'm like, no, I want to be here on a level playing field where I don't have that ability. So now I'm all right. I don't want to be moved, right? But then when there's people that are talking straight through the middle of me when I'm responding after listening and clearing the airwaves for somebody to put a claim to me, like I usually do, right? Immediately and instantly I'm being talked through and appealing to the moderation team, which is all I can do when I've not got any control, to take control, right? And calling him a crap moderator, right? Now, at various different points, he's come back in, moderated, and then said things like, if Nathan wants to run his little show from here, I'm like, encore. If I'm going to call you a crap moderator, I expect to be described as having a small show, you know, slightly condescending. More power to you, Briggs. Thank you very much for having me, by the way. I will, if I ever publish that video to the public, that is, put a link to your server. And thank you very much for having me. I don't think I personally thanked him after even 8 hours of being in his server. But yeah, I didn't, for a change, feel like my typical description, which is feeling like you're a lion, like you're there to perform. You know, the performance is you running around biting heads while the audience watches. Whereas while we're in there, and I'm saying I'm not here to answer questions, I'm going to be telling you what's what. Yeah? I don't give a crap if you accept it. I don't need your affirmation. I'll just be telling you how it is. Yeah? While they tell me how much they respect me and how much they want to hear what I've got to say, and while I disrespect them and tell them how much I couldn't give a crap what they've got to say. But I felt, and it was described by somebody else, just in a weird way, in the same analogy, similar. Someone said, you're the ringmaster. So where I normally see myself as the lion, admittedly a very powerful creature running around, by metaphor, biting off heads, in this instance, I actually agree with the analogy that was used, not by me, but by someone else, by a third party. They're like, well, you're now the ringmaster. I'm like, that's a slightly interesting difference in terms of terminology by analogy, because I do feel like I am the one whipping them, and they're all, not necessarily lions, maybe little mice and stuff, but they're all getting a good whipping from somebody who's running the circus. And in that instance, I was the one running the circus, rather than being there under the apprehension that I've got to entertain them as a lion by biting their heads off. So it was an interesting turn of events. Like I say, my attitude was different yesterday than it has been in almost any other debate scenario, because I just didn't view it as a debate, because it isn't.
Yeah, I noticed it too. And you could say they was the hyenas with no teeth, because that's what they was doing. They was trying to gang up and get together. But you took control, yeah. And it was noticed, Nathan. I noticed it, and like I said before, it's this where we are now with this. People are pushing back on this approach, but you demonstrated it beautifully yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily enjoy the process. I felt like I was in the company of absolute scum. I knew that what I was doing was producing something that was extremely entertaining, and I knew that there's going to be people out there that will listen back to me absolutely ripping new ones, using quite vile metaphors. I get there's people out there that don't like that as well, but these people are scum, and I'm going to treat them like scum. You know, they're more than willing to lie, misrepresent what you've said, make up quotes that you haven't delivered, and then start talking about how well you're looking after your kids. Some of them will even send police and social services round.
That's fine.
Well, I'm just saying.
The rape analogies need to go.
Fair enough.
Did I hear something like the Discord sound then again? Or was that Neil?
I don't think so. I didn't. Right, we're coming up on the hour. I think there's only 10 more. I think we're at number 50 for the Feast of Nonsense. So at least we'll have at least one more show on the Feast of Nonsense. I think this is number 9. So we should have at least one more as we go through 50
number
through
9?
60. Say again?
Number 9? Number 9?
Right, you just calm yourself there, Yoko.
See, Nathan, a lot of people will not get that.
the Yoko reference.
No, I think I...
Cool. Fun has been had by all. Check it out if you did want to watch those 8 hours of ball death, if you want to call that. Not a debate, but definitely people being dragged around by their short hairs. About 30 of them. Become a
Nathan,
member.
where can I? You mentioned the hyena slaughter video. Where can I watch this at? Yeah, I don't.
Perfect.
I didn't see that, or I wasn't listening to it yesterday.
Become a member. So if you want to watch those 8 hours, they're currently members only. I may or may not publish it. It's one of those that it kind of is a finale to the perception of there even being a debate. Like I say, during the session, I'm making it absolutely abundantly clear that this isn't a case that I'm asking for affirmation, seeking a discussion, seeking confirmation. I am there to tell them how Earth is measured flat. In all circumstances, without exception, including but not limited to their own globe faith. You can watch this video on my members only section. So if you did want to join as a member, you can watch those 8 hours of absolute annihilation of globe believing dickheads.
Is that YouTube member, or is that a different site?
The member to the Nathan Oakley 1980 YouTube channel.
Okay, I'm on there. Then I should be able to see it then.
Yes, definitely. I saw some.
So there was a noise then again. I was just going to ask you, you've said that now, so I probably know the answer. I was just going to say, was you going to make any shorts out of that video? But you probably won't, will you?
It's a bit too long. I did think about that while I was listening back to it. And, I had nothing on today, this morning, that is, before the show. So I just listened back to that. But I didn't even get halfway through it. You know what I mean? It's so long. And while I was listening back, I was like, yes, there are definitely clips that I could take from it. And I'm sure I've got the skill to limit that down to less than 3 minutes. But whether or not I actually do that, I'm much more inclined to trim out what we did today when we're describing the Feast of Nonsense assertions that we get on this list. I'm much more inclined to take that and turn it into shorts material than I am to take out any... Maybe I should just appeal to my members. If you happen to watch the 8-hour recording of me and the panel in Worldwide Debates, the one that's currently members only that we're discussing, if you find a section that you like or you see as being a worthy short clip, then just timestamp it. So use a colon. So if it's 1 hour, 5 minutes and 12 seconds, it's 1:12:05. And that will, if you press spacebar after it and press enter, obviously, to post the message, it will put a blue timestamp that I can just click on and then listen back to however, worthy the person that suggested it is. And I may well turn that into a trimmed out clip, but because of the size of it, it's too much to assess. It's a bit overwhelming, and I'm going to have more and more on as the book gets published very, very soon. I'm going to have less and less time to do things like that. But if I happen to come across it and you're watching that as a member, and I'm going to keep it members only for a fair time, because it's kind of like a little Brucey bonus for those of you who've remained members, but whilst listening to me going, well, there is no debate. There's a lot of people who've joined because they like that. They want that process, and that's why they've paid money to me. It's like, that obviously I'm not going to count out because they say that there needs to be the ongoing ringmaster / lion in a den running around being whipped scenario, because that's never going to... You can't get back what's been unearthed as being completely surplus to requirements. If Earth's being measured flat by all sides, literally there is no debate. Now, I can't help that moving forward, but if obviously you've joined as a member and gone, I just want to hear you absolutely beat the living crap, metaphorically speaking, out of a ball believer. Like, give them the horrendous time that they've given me for the last 12 years, or for you, however long it is by comparison. So if you're going, I go into these forums and I get shut down, talked through, disrespected, and I want somebody to champion the beating they deserve, the mental beatdown and verbal smackdown that they deserve, and you just want to see that, then that's the reward. It's like, there you go, there's 8 hours of material of baller after baller after baller, like the Smith character on top of Neo, right? He's just throwing them off. That's me. If you like that, become a member, and then you've got loads, like 8 hours worth. If you ever need that scratch, and you need to itch that scratch, you're like, I just want to see ball believers. I want to see Jesse Path of Light have his ass handed to him. I want to see Manufactotum getting absolutely destroyed. I want to see, he was the guy I just banned from chat, Rob Noxious, get the living daylights beaten out of him in debate. It's not, but you know what I'm talking about. Dead.
It's good as well. I know I keep repeating this, but it's good because, like you're saying, it's a bit of a golden nugget. That one, it's the last one, but you're in there and you're just showing that you're not arguing about, gravity and all the nonsense that we used to. You're on the new rhetoric and along the book, which people are pushing back a little bit. But if you listen to the yesterday, it's a different you with the new rhetoric, and it's nice to listen to that. It's put it into practice, and you know what I'm trying to say, don't you? It's not. We're not arguing the old arguments. It wasn't an argument anyway, and you didn't argue. You were spitting out facts, like you said, and people can go back now and think, well, yeah, I understand exactly what Nathan and the crew were saying. You can still point these things out without talking about the feast of nonsense or bringing up the old housekeeping questions and talking about the distance to the horizon or Coriolis. Or you don't have to do that. You just bring it back to the measurement, and it destroys the globus. Measurements destroy globus.
I like how in a fanciful scenario that's been hypothetically put into debate, the guys that were challenging me specifically yesterday wanted to talk about areas of equal elevation deriving useful ground positions for navigation, to then use the typical straw man of how do we acquire the height. But in the scenario that was set up, admittedly led by myself, we're actually trying to save our life at sea in a dinghy. And one guy comes along, he's like, well, how do we measure height? I'm like, we don't. That's not part of the process when we're trying to find our position. Now, he rinsed and repeated that position about 5 or 6 times. At which point I said, if you were in the dinghy with me, I would strangle you and then throw you over the side of the dinghy. Because what he's doing by arguing about a completely surplus to requirement, irrelevant calculation that's not described in any celestial navigation manual ever, is put in danger the hypothetical, metaphorical, fantasiful lives of everybody in this dinghy that doesn't really exist. Like me strangling him to death and then disposing of his corpse so he doesn't keep wasting everybody's time acquiring the knowledge, end quote him, of the height of the stars useful to nobody. Deriving elevation angle measurement to minus the angle from 90, that's the 90 below the star, and timesing it by 60 to give us a flat radial value for a circle of equal elevation that hopefully, with only 2, but probably with 3, you have a single intersect point that marks your location on the surface. At no point do you need the altitude. But if some guy in a dinghy, while everyone's worried that they're not going to make it home, we need to find out where we are so we can set a course that way and make it to land without dying. When there's a fart-sniffing dweeb sat in the boat insisting that you measure the height of the stars, that's justification in this hypothetical scenario for throttling him to death and throwing him over the side. Very amusing rhetoric to listen back to, while I justifiably describe why that person would have been thrown over the side of the life raft for his pissing around. Yeah? You want to fuck around with this height acquisition, then you'll find out how quickly you get disposed of over the side of this boat.
Yeah, that was very good. And you got a few people saying in the chat, why are you locking it up to members when Riggs is putting it there for free? It's $1.99 a month. Give me a freaking break.
So people are asking why I charge money to do this job that I do. Is that what I'm being asked?
Well, it's a guy that comes here, the Viking. He's a good guy. He's like, I'm poor. I'm like, I'm poor too, but $1.99 a month? Come on, guys. It's not even freaking 10 cents a day. Well, I don't know what it works out to, but...
I'll tell you why. Because I want money for it, right? What yesterday was work, right? That was me working. A lot. 8 hours of it, to be precise. Based on 10 years of experience gathered up by doing this job day after day after day after day after day after day, right? To the point where I can refine my argument to where I'm throwing, by metaphor, Smiths off me one at a time. But yeah, well, that has taken quite a long time, and I'm poor as hell. I'm struggling. I'm not going to be honest or beat around the bush when it comes to my finances. The only reason I'm writing a book is to extend that, so I've got more money coming in. So at the moment, it's not out yet. So I'm not there's no revenue stream from the book, and I've spent huge amounts of time developing the knowledge to turn that into book to monetize it. Well, the same applies in the short term. I just want more members. That's it. Now, hopefully, someone will go, oh, I'll gift a load of memberships out, which is just as good because it's just money. So that's what I want for doing the work, to be in a position to absolutely annihilate globe believers with their own words and demonstrate how flat Earth is measured in what they want to perceive as being a debate, while I point out how little debate there is when they're all using flat Earth prerequisites. That's my job. Now, eventually, there's a good chance that I might release it to the public, either on this or the second channel. So, I mean, subscribe to the second channel if you don't want to spend money becoming a member. I'm not going to twist anybody's arm. Obviously, there's no obligation. But if you subscribe, there's a link below to the second channel. I may release it there like I'll release some of the after shows. But initially, I don't want to do that. I do want it to be a bonus for the people who've subscribed and become a member, who've already given me money to be in that privileged position, or at the very least been gifted it by somebody else who's given me money to put them in that position. Well, that's my thank you to them, right? They've already given me that money. It's already gone. And I want to say, if you are that guy or girl that has only joined because you like watching me beat the crap out of bull believers in debate, then admittedly with me saying this is not a debate. We both measure Earth flat. Therefore, this is not a debate. But for 8 hours solid with people saying, nah, we can bend radii or whatever they're saying, right? Crap rebuttals. Because that's all they gave. No one gave a decent rebuttal. There wasn't one single decent rebuttal that stumped me. Not one. But you'd have to pay for that. That's it. You just become a member.
I don't know, Nathan. I thought you were struggling with how you measure a basketball.
No, I described that as being a false equivalence fallacy. When some guy comes along and says, oh, well, we could measure a basketball or a pool ball, those are the two examples by false equivalence. I'm like, well, that's a fallacy. You're not comparing something to a ball when we measure an aspect of the surface flat for linear miles. And given that the opener to me being there was Jesse, Path of Light, measuring drop over a flat Earth linear distance in miles. Ergo, it's utterly inconsequential what any of these muppets said, right? We were always going to be measuring flat Earth prerequisites, and no amount of screaming and squirming is going to change that.
Yeah, what were they screaming that it's not an affirming the consequent?
Yeah, I dealt with that too. So the guy, I keep pointing out that we measure Earth flat with an elevation angle, right? If we're measuring a navigation star or latitude or whatever we're measuring 90 degrees to the base of a star with. And we keep hearing a dozen times while I'm talking to other people, affirming the consequent, like a chicken clucking into the discussion. And after about half a dozen times of this, I stop talking to whoever I'm talking about. I'm like, okay, guy who keeps saying it's an affirming the consequent, the measurement. Detail what an affirming the consequent fallacy is. Give it in a formula. And he couldn't do it. He didn't even know what an affirming the consequent was. He couldn't break it down. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. He couldn't do it. He didn't know what it was. Now, obviously, that was met with an absolute chastising and being berated and belittled by me in the worst possible tones I could muster. Yeah, that's what he got as a consequence of his constant yakking. Affirming the consequent. No, it weren't. It was a measurement. But that guy had an absolute strip tore off him. Much to the delight of paying a member if you are one. Check it out.
Oh, listen, the Viking. Truth is for free. But let's get things straight. You enjoyed listening to it for 8 hours, right? If you were there, you don't think that there's labor being put in? It don't even come out to 10 cents a day. Please. You sound like freaking Jenna. Truth should be free. Nobody should be charging
if
for
that's
truth.
what he wants, that's fair enough, right? You want the brass tacks of what was dealt with. We dealt with elevations, and in summary, we had things like elevations of a mountain, elevations of a cruise ship, elevations of you if you're observing something that's 20 miles away, that's 40 feet above the ground level, measured from sea level. every single prerequisite altitude measurement was pointed out that it's perpendicular to a plane of reference, measured with a master reference called sea level, and is ultimately a flat Earth prerequisite. Now, that's the summary of about a third of the discussion points. Another third would be linear distance measurements, a flat Earth prerequisite taken from maps and scales. That's what was being put in the other third. The last third was elevation angles forming 90 degrees, so you can minus that minus that degree from 90 and times it by 60 to give you a flat only prerequisite radial value for a circle of equal elevation for celestial navigation. So in summary, if you just want the truth of it, no worries, I can provide that in a very concise summary. What you hear is that information beating the living brakes off everybody who believed in a ball in that server for 8 hours, or 7.5. The video's 8 hours, but like I say, half an hour of it was 15 minutes of probably dead air where I'm like, the boys have got no one to talk to, shall I go and join a random Discord server? Which is why I was in there. But if you just want the truth of it, I can deliver that in a concise summary at the end of this live stream. It's not difficult. Earth's just measured flat. There you go. Even more concise. I'm not trying to hide any truth. But 8 hours of work, yeah.
What it is, Nathan.
Dead.
Not just talking about the guy Neil's talking about. I'm saying, even though you've just concisely said it's as simple as that, and we all know that, we've been punching out for a while now. We're talking about that yesterday, and you've explained it all and how it came about. But some people still want, not that it was an argument yesterday, but they want to hear that noise, if you know what I mean. That's what they like to listen to. When they do know the simple facts of that, all we're explaining is how Earth's measured flat, always has been measured flat. And if you just stick to that and realise that, then that's how simple it is. But I think a lot of these people, maybe the guy Neil's talking to, wants to listen to that show, just not for particularly that information, because he probably already knows that. He wants to listen to the hashtag argument and the shouting and the insults.
Fair enough.
That's a shame, really.
Well, that's what it's there for, though. I mean, I agree with you, first of all. I'm not disagreeing with you, right? I absolutely agree. It's completely unnecessary. However, that is kind of what's built this channel over the last 10 years or so. So I can relate to somebody. People keep coming in, and there was a guy who was in there at one point who was like, I did actually specifically come in and ask Nathan to come to this server to do just this. While people are going, shut him up, mute him, I can't cope. And I can't remember who it was, but some guy was like, yeah, I have actually come in and asked Nathan. Well, whoever you were, I can't remember who you were, but that had a fairly substantial influence on me, which is to say, rather than demeaning him, going, look, there is no debate. Why are you asking me to do something that's unnecessary? It's surplus to requirements, there's no debate. It's like, he's asking for it because he wants it. There's no other reason, and he doesn't have to justify that. You can't. Your desires are what they are, and you don't have to justify them unless you're doing something criminal, which he wasn't. He's just saying, I want what you do. Give me that, because I like it. And that's how I inferred it when I'm like, would it harm to go into one of those servers and rip a few heads off? Well, no, it's dead easy, right? Other than the time involved. Dead easy because I've invested 10 or 12 years refining my arguments to the point where I can do that. But like I say, because that person's asking, he's a direct reflection of lots of other people who want the same thing from me. Now, given that I'm saying explicitly and repeating now, there is no debate. Those days are over. But if you want to say, well, yeah, but I want to see how that actually translates into you beating the brakes off a load of bull-believing wankers, then that's it. That is the example. But will that happen again? No, but there'll be versions of it. And Neil spotted this. He's like, you're just practicing for if you end up getting hijacked by some wanker who says, yeah, you can come on my show and promote my book. And the next thing you know, oh, did I mention this complete wanker that's also going to talk to you, talk down to you, demean you, talk through you, verbally mute you? Did I not mention that there's going to be a cunt here? Oh, this is cunt that I didn't mention. He's going to talk to you now. Yeah? That was what I was practicing for when that inevitably happens. Right?
I knew it. First of all, the question, do you guys want to go into a Discord server? That don't even have to be asked. You know damn well we want to go into a server, especially at that time when the show was over, the after show was over, and we were just hanging out. So that was great. But it dawned on me, I know what Nathan is doing here. He's freaking brushing up.
Yeah, you got to keep your sword sharp. Yeah, there's going to inevitably be that smarty pants fart sniffer that wants to come and prove us wrong after they hear me promoting my book on some random channel. They're like, what? Earth's measured flat? What kind of idiot are you? And then when he hears me promoting that you can just join my live stream that's still running and challenge me if you think you've got some evidence or measurements that are contradictory to the flat earth measurements we all use, then feel free. Someone will come in and go, don't you know that Aristoteles measured an angle and derived the radius? That's what we're going to get. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Primary Streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
These people, guys like Hop, they really annoy me. They're going on about this hiding behind the paywall. If $1.99 a month is hiding something behind the paywall, then you people are retarded. So you can actually see who gives a shit, who really cares about the things that are being done. Because to me, I used to kid around. It would be like a challenge to me. Whoever was giving out free memberships, I would try to get it. It was like a game. But then I just freaking got it. I think I forgot who got me one.
Yeah.
Godzilla. And he told me how to do it. So I went on and I just did it. So now I think it comes out of my heart. I don't even know when it comes out, $1.99 a month. I don't even think it comes out to 10 cents a day. So I get people like Hop saying, I'm sorry, $1.99? It's not money that you have to pay? Yeah. But I wish I could give more. That's all I could pay. You know, but at least I'm giving it to Nathan and not waiting or going to worldwide debates and seeing it for free. I don't know.
You don't have to do anything. It's no obligation. I like that this person's suggesting that they really want it, though, because it's making it clear that it's desirable.
Well, he said, how many new members has he got hiding it behind the paywall? I don't know. Ask Nathan. But it's not like you're hiding it behind the paywall like Jiren was doing with their secret information. I forgot what they were charging for that nonsense.
Wasn't he putting relationship counselling behind a paywall?
Yeah, there's a guy whose wife got knocked up by his best friend, and he's going to counsel you on your freaking marriage. Good luck. And you got to pay him for that.
So if somebody gives you information on how to have a good marriage and they end up with their wife sleeping with their friend and then divorced, I would call that a scam.
I'd want my money back.
I'd say, you've scammed me. You haven't got a clue how to run a relationship. You're a scammer.
Yes, I would request my money back. You pulled me in under false pretenses. So you're giving me counseling on my marriage when you had no clue what was going on in yours. So therefore I want my money back. You weren't trained for this, obviously.
That just means the training doesn't work. Because I know lots of therapists who would say they're rubbish at their own relationships.
Listen, he's going by when he was a kid, his mom and dad stood together and just speak for the kids, and it was worse. So that makes him qualified to be a freaking marriage counselor? No, I went to premarital counseling. I know what it takes. These people were sincere. They were serious. And, but I didn't pay for it. I mean, it was through the church, but they set you up accordingly, according to what you needed. So this guy is not qualified.
Did he say he was qualified? Because, yeah, I mean, if you think about
If you're charging money, Click, that means if you're saying, I will give you marriage counseling, pay me, that means you're saying I'm qualified and I can help you out.
Who says you're qualified? That's what the world wants you to do, is qualify yourself on their basis. I'm not qualified to do anything. I have no qualifications to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, but
right
you
now.
should have, what I'm saying, Click, you should have experience in it. And it's obvious that he had no clue what was going on in his own home if his best friend was able to penetrate your wife and get her pregnant. All right? I'm not qualified I'm not certified to do any type of flooring, but I could do every type of flooring.
Exactly
But
what
when
I
I
say.
do it, it's going to be right. Now, could there be an error? Could something happen where it's there's failure? Of course. That's with anything. But when you're talking about human lives, you better take a step back.
Any court in land would say, well, there was an error of judgment. But I do like the way you put it, that he managed to infiltrate his wife.
Look, this is the excuse I use while I hang around in the gynecological departments of this particular county. I say, no, I'm not qualified gynecologist, but I'll have a bloody good look at it for you.
That's exactly what happened to me one time. I told you the story. The gynecologist is looking, then looks up at her head, looks down, then back up and says, oh, are you a redhead? Let's rip this freaking lungs out.
Well, are you?
Are you?
My ex, kind of, yeah, like the strawberries type. But anyway, as a professional, you don't do that. I know it caught him off guard because it did me the first time, yes. But, I mean, come on, guys, show some freaking professionalism here. I'm sitting right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't dare do that whilst delivering. Outrageous.
His mate knew more about the therapy than he did, maybe.
I just use this same excuse. No, I don't have any midwifery qualifications, but I'll have a bloody good look at it for you.
Yeah, let's try out these scenarios in good housekeeping.
Housekeeping. I like the way you labeled that, housekeeping. That is keeping house. And it appears that Jaron wasn't keeping house.
Still, you got to kind of pity the guy. That's crap, right? Nobody wants that to happen to you.
I do. I feel terrible. I have a little sympathy for him. That sucks.
I wish him the worst.
That's not good. Come on, there's a family involved. He had a kid with the lady. From what I hear, she was extremely hot.
Oh, that makes it a lot
But there's more
worse.
to it than freaking just picking a girl because she's hot.
That's
There's
terrible,
only one. Nathan, how'd you say it? That only checks the first box. The attraction. Yeah, boom, she's pretty. But there are many other boxes that need to be checked before you say I do.
That's why I say in the gynecological departments, just going to check your box.
Now, before I say I do, let me go check this over here.
Got a lot of boxes to check.
Got to get my hand in.
Got to keep my hand
This is a
in.
hands-on experience.
No, it's gynecology, hands in.
Strictly speaking, this is dick and fart jokes. You realise that?
Anyway, the reason why I brought up the other thing, Nathan, with the rape was because that's all they were focusing on afterwards. You know, because that was a big thing. How you always resorted to some raping type thing. Don't give anybody any ammunition. Tear a strip off. You used to say that. I'm tearing a strip off you.
They're saying tearing a strip off them is better than describing how I'm metaphorically holding them down and fisting them with their own flat earth.
Yes, Nathan, yes. When I'm cringing, there's a problem.
I see. Yeah, that's actually what I was going for. When you cringe, or to put it how I would phrase it, recoil, right, in horror, and they're all moaning about it, absolutely epic. Yeah? They feel disgusted by how I've treated them, mentally violating them.
Yes, I know, I get it. But I'm thinking about other people. Say somebody was just listening for the first time. They heard about this Nathan Oakley guy. And here they come on and listen, the debate's going good, and then you got your fist up somebody's ass.
Metaphorically. I mean, it's not my fist. I was using the flat earth prerequisites to metaphorically fist them with them.
Like puppeteering. That's not the ones with the strings. Talking sooty and sweet now.
Okay, no more metaphorical fistings. Taken as read.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because you get into that situation, like I'm sort of saying, it would be nice to go into them rooms and just be like, I was trying to tell them when I jumped in a little bit, we're all calm over here. We know our worst measured. And then about 10 minutes later, I'm effing and jeffing, calling everyone in retard. Because that's the way they get you. It's difficult to just stay to it's measured flat, that's the way it is. Although we was using that, Nathan was using that rhetoric all along. But when you're being interrupted and over-taught, and, it's difficult to stay calm and quiet and not react a little bit. So
I had a few shut the F up editors in there. It is annoying and frustrating.
that's all they want to do. Might be different talking to some sort of like a normal person about the rhetoric and how it's always been measured flat and sea level and, elevation angles, latitude mapping, and go over it that way. You're not getting into that debate, but you got 7 hyenas just poking at you, prodding at you, taking nibs at you. But they didn't get too far because Nathan was just kept whipping them away.
I would object to the words you used, and it always measured flat, because you could never prove always.
Well, you think Earth was something else?
No, that's not what I said. You can't say maybe they tried to measure it other ways, but I'm not saying we weren't there, so maybe they didn't even measure it at all once upon a time.
Yeah, you fair enough.
Any type of measurement you would take would have to be from a...
Let me just agree with him. He's saying best not to describe things in absolute terms because you're pushing yourself into a little corner that you needlessly you don't need to be in, right? If you can describe any specific flat Earth prerequisite measurement, altitude, angle, elevation, surface level, sea level, eye level, distance, those are absolutes. When I say they are measured flat, but to say it's always measured flat is dealing with it in an absolutist terminology that puts me into a bit of a corner potentially. That's, I think.
Okay,
Craig's
so what if
sentiment.
you were to say, as far as men can measure, they've measured Earth flat?
Yeah, but that's what Craig's saying. If you offer it with some weasel words attached, you're not offering it for an absolute. You're offering it as a generalisation about all the measurements that you're aware of.
Yeah. So as far as sea level's been level, it's been measured flat.
There you go. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
As long as we recognize sea level, I'm sorry, that's it.
Oakley was good seeing you there yesterday. That was really good.
Was it you that suggested that I should be doing that?
Yes.
I said on the live show that did have an impact because often I'm a bit dismissive if it's not in line with my current rhetoric. But on reflection, you go, why am I being asked to do that? And it's because you've told me, you have a desire to see that occur. Now, rather than just demeaning that desire, you can't control what you desire. And you're telling me you're kind enough to let me know that's what you want. So I reflected on it and went, I can see how there's going to be people in my paying audience that have only paid because they've come to me through that and want that. I don't know if you're a paying audience member, but you're certainly telling me or informing me of your desire in that direction. So I thought, rather than demeaning it, we'll do what I'll probably say 3 or 4 more times if I ever do it again. One last hurrah, based on the fact that there is no debate. But if somebody was, wanting or desiring to see how that pads out when there's a claim to be debate in worldwide debates, how would that pad out when you're saying there is no debate and there's plenty of people saying, yeah, there is, Earth's a ball? What happens when the seemingly immovable object meets a seemingly unstoppable force? What's the end result? Well, there you go, that's what the end result is. Lots of globers being thrown off like Smith, metaphorically speaking, jumping onto Neo. So thanks.
That's exactly what happened.
I appreciate you sharing your desires with me, because I am grateful, rather than dismissing them, which is what I probably did initially.
I mean, I think it's been a bit quiet in the after show. I mean, why don't we just go and nip into another server for half an hour?
Too tired. That's why. It's absolutely boiling here in this apartment. I said to the neighbour, Warren, his name is, who walked past, and he's like, you enjoying the heat? I was outside listening to yesterday's show, or that show. And I was like, yeah, it's lovely out here. But I was like, in the apartment, it's absolutely stifling. It's about 10 degrees hotter than it is outside. And he's like, yeah, it's really hot. I was like, yeah, I haven't slept for 3 days.
Air conditioning solves the problem.
I told you my story. I've been that busy and on call and dripping and on roof sun. But, like you, Nathan, exhausted in the heat I've been. But this morning, it started hailstoning in Manchester this morning, and the hailstone was the size of marbles. I just heard him cracking against the window. I thought, what's going on out there? And then there was lightning, thunder, and then it started raining. And I'm at it, yes. You've never seen me get dressed so quick, get the dog and go outside in my T-shirt and shorts, walking in hailstone and rain, so happy, just to cool down and get wet. It was great.
There you go, water bends.
I did exactly the same thing. And a different neighbour, while I was pacing around listening to yesterday's show, said the same thing. She's like, hot enough for you? And I was like, yeah. She said there was about 3 a.m, there was a thunderstorm, and I was like, yeah, I sat outside and watched it. She's like, oh, you could have come over and had a beer and a smoke with me. I was like, oh yeah, I could have. But I enjoyed it immensely. I mean, even when I'm lacking sleep because of the stifling heat and thunderstorms, it was absolutely amazing watching the sky light up with all this lightning all over it. It was absolutely epic.
Did you say
awesome.
She, my neighbour.
I'm saying he or she.
Well, the first one was a he, and the second one was a she. The second one's the one that's got a care dog, the sausage dog that we occasionally have.
Yeah, it was such a relief that today.
Told off.
Like you say, a relief. Just saying, it's just such a relief after the intense heat all week, and then to get a rain and the storm, like you say, and the lightning and the thunder. I mean, I heard it last night, and I was half asleep because I've been sleep deprived for a good week. And I thought, why is somebody dragging the bins across the road at this time? And I realised it was a thunderstorm.
It does sound like that's like steel bins been dragged. That is a good description of how it sounds when it's rolling over the sky towards you audibly.
I will say this, okay? This is just my personal observation with some of the people I talk to, and then it's not that Nathan might not know this because he's not smart. It's the fact that when you're in the heat of the moment, maybe you might not look at it from that perspective. But it's like when you go to hostile territory and you're debating 20 globers at once, that in itself is something to be commended for, because Iceman, Wesley G, all these Globers you talk to yesterday, none of them will go to a flat Earth server with 20 flat Earthers. They won't do that. They will never go to hostile territory and 1v20 flat Earthers, right? That doesn't happen. The other thing is, and I said this yesterday, it's like McTune has this little tick timer. Oh, Nathan Oakley's dodging me for this many days. Yesterday was a prime example and a perfect time for him to get in. He's in chat, is typing. You're the one who dodged Nathan. This isn't Oakley saying. This is me saying. This is the moderator of the room. He was there. He was talking to everybody. You had the choice to come in. You refused to do it. So, but as far as Nathan goes, it's like, okay, I understand it's not like a pleasant territory, but at the very least, everyone understands you went to hostile territory, and that's, in my opinion, that's something to commend for.
Yeah, most of the time when you see people doing that, I don't pay attention to what Toon's doing. So if you're saying he's got some timer, typically speaking, I almost always ascribe that to projection. So it sounds to me like Toon's terrified of me. That's the only extrapolation I can draw from what you've just said.
Yeah, it was a
How's
proof
he
for me
measuring
because
time?
I kept asking him in this show, why are you not, because he keeps saying, well, Nathan's dodging me. I'm like, bro, you have plenty of times to go talk to Nathan, because they used to go with this narrative, oh yeah, Nathan is in a server, he doesn't let us talk. It's like, okay, no, that didn't apply yesterday. He went to hostile territory. Anyone could have came in and talked. You were typing in chat literally, and you still refused to come on. And then when I called him out for that, he goes, well, I'm busy, I'm working. It's like, okay.
This timer he's got, how is he measuring this time?
Well, I understand what he's saying. Like, as a neutral observer here, like, there are people who are into the science of it. Obviously, their perspective is, okay, so it's the closest we could get the community together, like, from both sides, because some of us haven't been here 10 years ago, 15 years ago, so we haven't really seen the debates. And you could say it's not really a debate. That's fine. At least it's a room where both sides could talk. Right? But yeah, I understand. There's people who tune in just for the chaos. There's that too. Can't really deny that.
Yeah, it's weird hearing you describe it as hostile territory, because I'm commending Riggs as much as I didn't take him up on his offer. He's like, you can go in this room where you can have moderator control. I'm like, no, I don't want that. As in, I have absolutely no fear of the fact that this is, as you describe it, hostile territory. Like, no worries, I'll hold my own with 30 Globers in here, beating the daylights off them constantly. I don't need moderator privileges. And by the end, literally, they were screaming out to have me muted, like affirming, admittedly on one of the last shows I'll end up probably doing like that, but affirming that which I've been saying for years. When they suggest I've got a mute button, it is pure projection. They want to mute me.
Yeah, and to be fair, when I say that, Riggs is... What?
No, hold on. You go ahead. How do you say your name? Gakshi. Shu.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I say hostile... hostile territory. So Riggs is not hostile, and he's actually a flat earther himself, but like, I don't think it's the server owner that, when I say hostile territory, what I'm saying is his platform is neutral, but the amount of Globers versus you over there, that was definitely a hostile territory. It was like 20 versus 1, right? And I don't know, I tried my best as the moderator of the room yesterday to try to like moderate it, but yeah, this narrative that, you have moderation, you're doing, that doesn't apply. At least not to yesterday.
You sent me a message to tell you who should be muted. I think I said everybody. There's a lot of people in there, and they all should have been muted. Should have been one at a time.
Yeah. So I guess there was a lot of Globers that got mad at me yesterday, but this is, again, I don't own that server. I'm just a moderator there. And per the owner of the server, I have a couple channels in there. One is the wide chat, which is basically anyone could talk and it has moderation. The Coliseum is designed for a content creator like Oakley, if he wants to run his show out of there, and then he gets to moderate that channel the way he wants. So they can't really complain about that. And as much as like he was in that channel and you want to say, well, Nathan was running his show even though he didn't really have a show yesterday, but I think the moderation was absolutely fair in that room yesterday. Everyone got to talk.
I mean, that.
Yeah, there's only so
Coliseum-
much you can moderate them anyway. They're just going to keep like Ed Bear. You can't moderate that guy. Cannot moderate him because he's just going to keep talking, and then his true colors come out when he starts cursing you out.
I mean, what the moderator who's talking, the glitchy, whatever he's called. Sorry, mate, I can't pronounce your name. Yeah, if Nathan's got a room there in the Coliseum and he's got control, that not that Nathan wants to do this, I might want to do it, but if he was to do that, and you've got the option to bring one in at a time and keep it as because then you're not going to get shouted at and overtalked and use the same rhetoric in the calm way, and that would be another good example of a one-on-one staying calm, back and forth conversation using and pointing out how they're using the prerequisites without the noise. You know what I mean?
They don't want to do that, One Deck. They do not want to do that. That's why they don't come in here, because they know that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So they want to stay in there, right? And it served them beautiful that Nathan didn't want to go to the Coliseum, because then everybody's line could be open, and whenever they want, they can open their mic and interject. And it's usually at the crucial points that Nathan's getting to, that 2 or 3 of them would open their mics and interject.
Yeah, but I've cut my teeth on that scenario, haven't I? While they all claim that I've got a mute button, on the contrary, when people used to come in en masse, they would all pile in en masse and all talk at once. And I'd have to try and listen to 3 different people, figure out who had the most coherent argument to rebut, and then try and take control as a host of the other 2. Not mute them, because if you mute them, they just don't talk anymore, and then you haven't got a show. But their projection is that what they want to do when I'm out on their servers is mute me when I'm saying something devastating to their position. Like I say, it got so palpable that someone had to spew it out. Someone ejaculated into the conversation, just mute this guy, just mute him. And you could have heard a fucking pin drop when all the people around couldn't quite believe that somebody's actually verbalising that. You had Rob Noxious going, no, nobody wants to mute you. I'm like, nah, it's too late for that. This guy's literally screamed it into the Discord server. He's verbalised it. It's absolutely fucking palpable. Yeah? They really, really want to mute me. That's what they want. Now, they're getting to do it verbally, like verbally muting me, but over the top of them, as they're all talking at once, I can call them cowards because they don't want to hear the response. And you can hear the audio chaos that's being taken charge of by me. And when the stony silences, you can hear a pin drop in. It's interjected by me, yelling at them, calling them cowards, calling them idiots, disrespecting them with every tone I can muster of disrespect. In the pause that's been manufactured by me taking charge of the scenario. Not with a mute button. I didn't have any ability to do so. I wasn't running the show. It's not my server. It's hostile territory. There's 30 against 1.
There was a couple of... Have you finished, Nathan? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to disappear for a second. Back in a minute.
There was a couple of instances where I don't know what the conversation was at the time or who it was, but Nathan kept pointing out that they was, using like prerequisites or pointing and he was going at Nathan quite strong, and kept, trying to rebut it and coming back aggressively and argumentatively. And then as Nathan kept pointing things out, when you sense somebody's being put into a corner and getting quieter and quieter, and the responses, there's a longer pause between the responses, and then all of a sudden they go silent. That's what was happening.
Yeah, he got Rob. He got Rob Noxious a few times with that.
Yeah, and that's very telling. And Nathan, just you're being whipped, boy. You're being whipped, and you're coming in hard. And now I'm training you. Yeah, and you can tell they're not. It was pauses and gaps, and we was all picking up on it. You've gone quiet, haven't you?
When they start declaring victory, you know you won. When they said, we whipped you. Wow, we got Nathan. Be a Glober. Yeah. Tell yourself whatever you want. It's like Brenda. She'll get her ass whipped and she'll say, I'll debate you one-on-one.
Yeah, that was stupid. I told that Wesley G guy, I'm like, you're in a debate. You can't declare yourself as the victorious guy, right? It's other people who have to judge you. But the thing is, like, some of these guys, I know them in the field, like Ice Spin, Wesley. These guys don't debate in good faith. They're asking questions not to genuinely learn from you. They're asking questions to put you in a gotcha moment, right? To
No
trap you.
shit.
That's what these guys do, right? So some of them I don't even take seriously. Like,
That's all of them. Any single question they asked was because they thought they had a gotcha. And all they kept doing was getting brought back to the flat
all they do.
prerequisites that they used.
Yep. Exactly, Neil. And that why did they ask so many questions? Because you got no fucking answers.
No, see, that's the whole thing. We weren't asking questions. Well, Nathan wasn't asking questions. He was telling them. There's no questions here. I'm telling you the way it is. And you know what? They all stood there for all those hours and took it.
Yeah, they weren't expecting that.
Well, Rob defined what freaking azimuth was, but then couldn't handle it. But you hear the silence when Nathan was explaining to him. Not at the bottom of the ball.
It's golden.
Yeah, south is not down. North is not up. Hold a compass in your hands. It's never going to point up and never going to point down for north and south.
But not even if you sort of roll it around a basketball.
Oh, wait a second, but wait. The map guy has an answer for that, right? Doesn't the map guy have the answer
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah, you put a few magnets on the on the basketball.
a lot of the Globers actually, like, this might be not a popular opinion, but a lot of them was like, wow, like, I guess Nathan is going around and going to these platforms. So they viewed it as a positive thing to say, right? Which is good to hear.
I mean, I know Nathan's saying it's a one-off, and it probably will be, but once a quarter maybe. Every
That's
quarter.
about you guys. After 2 hours, I had a headache.
Yeah, it's not like gonna be good for his health if he does this every day, but once in a while, it's pretty. I think it's needed in the community.
Yeah, because the community still thinks there's a debate.
Yeah, and this is going to hurt a lot of flat earthers, and this is just the reality of the arena, and that is, like, Oakley's pretty much one of the last standing flat earther guys. Like, everyone else is pretty much fucking dead, right?
But like you're saying, sorry, mate. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, he's one of the last guys that's putting up a fight. Like, every other flat earther has pretty much disappeared, right?
Well, they weren't flat earthers. If you're talking about Jaron and Bob and all of them, they were never flat earthers. They still don't know. The reason why Nathan's where he is now is because he knows for sure and without a doubt that Earth is flat because it's measured that way. Now, a lot of people don't want to comprehend that for whatever reason, but it's very simple.
The thing is, as well, I was just going to say, we're joking about going in quarterly, but it won't do any harm because it's a new approach. So it's not a debate. We're not going into these forums debating, and Nathan proved that yesterday. He's going in there and telling you what's what. And you can use the book as well in that situation, even in promote your book and use that narrative. It's just going down again, just for half an hour.
I was thinking the same thing one day, because you can go in there now with No, you stole my idea from yesterday, because I thought about this yesterday. Like, you're not going in there to debate. You're going there to tell them what's what. So there might be an avenue for these people that are bloodlusters. They lust after the blood of the battle. Fine.
Yeah.
But there's no debate.
But it's a good way. We're seeing on the show. But listen, but listen, mate. Listening to Nathan do that in the most recent rhetoric that we're presenting is good for the anti-globers coming on board with us, because this is how to deal with it now. We're not just listening to Nathan say it's not a debate and it's not an argument. He's going in there and showing how it's not a debate and not an argument, and telling everybody exactly that. You know what I mean? He's putting it into the words into motion, if you like.
Now, quick question for Gagoshi. Who was the girl?
Yeah.
Was she a flat earther or was she a baller?
No, she's a flat earther. Taylor, she's a flat earther.
All right, because she seemed like she was interested in what Nathan was saying.
Yeah, she aligns with Witsit, essentially. She's a Witsit family.
Oh dear.
And girl.
Yeah, but you could quickly sort her out. A couple of times in there, but she might be one of them Etherites.
But it's interesting.
Well, here's the thing: there's
to
this British guy or whatever, or Australian guy that's talking. I can't see his name, but there's also a part of me that measures something based on the numbers, right? Like if you're like, for example, if you want to see if a movie's successful, you look at the sales and the numbers it did, right? The reality is, whether we like it or not, the last 2 times Nathan has gone in there, the number of people that have showed up there has spoken for itself, right?
Yeah, of course. Anywhere Nathan goes, it's going to draw a crowd.
But if you're doing it every quarter rather than every day, then there's, people they build up the momentum, sell a few
Listen,
tickets.
buddy from down under. You Australian bastard, you.
Yeah, UK, mate, Manchester in the area.
Man, you. Now, hold on a second. Let's get this straight. Whose shirt do you wear, One Deck? Man U or Man City?
Man U.
All right. Okay.
Which list does that put him on, Neil?
I did not develop a list for English football, shall we say, or soccer, because I don't know enough about it yet. Right? I'm still feeling my way through. But I'm finding myself looking for what games are on. Now, the interesting thing will be when football season starts, am I going to be flicking from American football to soccer? We will see.
Well, you got the World Cup coming up soon, haven't we?
Yeah, I love the World Cup. I've always watched the World Cup, but I got nothing now. I got no Italy. Italy's not in there. How could Italy? I think they're tied for the most World Cups. How are they not in the World Cup?
Well, they obviously didn't qualify.
Because they're not making any more babies. There's a problem in Italy. I heard Sebastian Maniscalco talking about it. Like, the men are not producing. I guess they're shooting blanks. So if this continues, in 100 years, you might see the last Italian. We're almost extinct.
Well, you've only got the chemtrails to blame for that, mate. And the 5G, of course.
This is great. You're from the UK today. When, what's her name was in here, that crazy lady. He thought I was you.
I was from New York that day, yeah.
Listen,
Now,
One Deck.
Yeah, I was getting angry myself in there yesterday. I was almost like butting into Nathan and trying to shut Nathan up so I can have a go. Let me in, Nathan.
I did that a few times. I got yelled at a few times too. Finally, I was like, "Oh, come on, you had enough. Give us some time." But see, in my defense, at first, Nathan said that we weren't being heard there. So I thought, like, if I'm talking, it's just us hearing each other. I didn't know I was being heard on the show. Right? Because at first, that's the way Nathan had it. But, like, we were having a little private conversation as their conversation was going on until they recognized that Nathan was in the room. But I didn't know there was a changeover.
Well, I when I get calls coming in, I've got to jump in and out a little bit. It's quieting down a bit now, but I jumped out at one point before you guys went into this room. And then when I jumped back in, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later, I could hear Nathan. I thought, is he going over a feast of nonsense? I thought it sounds a little bit too dramatic for that. And I thought, I'll just take I don't know what he's talking about. Or is he responding to a video or somebody in chat? And then it took after a few minutes, I realised, oh, we're in another server, and that's when I found out. I didn't know it had happened until later. I hung around for a while.
Would you like to hear a bit of it? I want to make a cup of coffee. If you want to hear,
Yes.
Well, just by chance, I actually found the bit where I used the fisting metaphor. Do you want to hear that?
Oh boy.
Do you want to hear it or not? That's all you're going to get.
Yeah, run it.
Yeah. I described how flat Earth was measured with azimuth and altitude. You, a fucking clown retard nobody, suggested that the wrong direction fallacy applied when you said that south was down. You fucking clown retard. That's not me losing. That's me fucking annihilating you, you stupid spastic.
No, Rob absolutely destroyed you.
Really? So south is down then? It's not like this has got a fucking fallacy named after it or anything. Rob's right and down is actually south. No. What I did was pin Rob Noxious down and fucking rape him with his own stupid fallacious use of down when describing azimuth, which is horizontal. What I did was fucking rape him. Not lose, destroy him.
Bro. We're the same. Me and you are like brothers, dude. We're both...
No, we're not. You're a fucking retard dropped on your head who no one cares about. Me, I take apart fucktards based on their use of fallacy when they suggest that azimuth in the horizontal has something to do with fucking down.
Nathan Oakley. That's it. I'm changing my name to Rob Noxious 1980 right now.
Yeah, fuck what you do. Nobody gives a shit what you do. You're a fucking nobody. A nobody who used fallacy and then got raped by me for using it. I pinned you down and fucked you in your own asshole with your use of down when describing azimuthal directionality. You got raped. That's you losing badly.
Imagining it. You're role playing. It's your imagination.
Yeah, it's a metaphor. A metaphor for me fucking fisting him with down when he suggests that azimuth in the horizontal has something to do with directionality when he says down. That's me metaphorically fisting his asshole.
Yeah, keep role playing. It's very entertaining. Answer no questions, but keep talking shit.
Meanwhile,
Meanwhile,
south is not down, as was suggested by this fucking retard called Rob.
Hey, the two Utes.
Sorry, stuttery bitch. Do you still think south is down?
I still never admit it.
Sorry, you going to tell me I lost, you stupid fucking retard?
You know, I tried to explain to you that you're dumb to understand, but...
Right, too dumb to understand that down is what, a horizontal azimuthal directionality? No, that's you fucking retard.
Whisper, don't mess up my grift, Rob. Don't mess up my grift. Neil gives me $10 a month. I buy a bake.
Right, this has just turned into another ad hominem fallacy because this fucking retard who used down instead of south suggests that this needs to be brought along to how I behave or what I do for money. No, south isn't down, you fucking retard. That's what I pinned you down and fisted you with.
It is. Whatever. Geographically,
I agree with Rob.
Oh, you agree with Rob? You think south is down, do you dumb fuck retard?
Geographically.
Sorry, Rob, but somebody agrees with you. I want to find out who the fuck this other retard who suggests that south is down is.
Yeah.
Are you agree?
Yeah, Rob totally destroyed you earlier.
So south is down then?
Totally.
You turned into like a little mouse. We couldn't even hear you.
So south down? Cat got your tongue, retard.
Geographically speaking.
Who are you talking to, Nathan?
Speaking.
You fucking retard who's agreeing with Rob.
South down in which model? You forgot to specify.
So it's not in a model. South's an azimuthal directionality in the horizontal. South is never down.
To the right.
South is down.
South is never down. It's azimuth. It's horizontal. It's degrees in the horizontal.
Map scale it is.
No, it fucking isn't. That's even got a fallacy named after it. It's called the wrong direction fallacy.
So when you hold the compass, you think south is down?
No, he's a
and
fucking
north is
retard.
up?
These spastics on the globe don't know how to use a fucking basic compass.
I use a scale.
They use a scale to find north, do you? No, scales weigh things, you fucking clown. A compass will give you directionality. There you go.
That was great. But that was an example I was saying before, like you could hear him, he went, you heard me explain it before, Nathan, where they're coming at you, and the more you keep pointing out the facts, the responses are getting, there's more pause between the responses, they're not coming back as aggressively, and then there's a more longer pause, and then all of a sudden, they just stood in the corner very quietly.
and they're projecting the win. Yeah, Rob destroyed you.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to play it. So it's a good example of Rob destroyed you. You're like, all right, so you're going to fantasize about a perceived win taking place when this person has been metaphorically held down and fisted with his own example. That's why I use such egregious and revolting terminologies, because what's happening is a lie's being peddled. There's lies afoot from scumbags. Now, I see that as disingenuous scumbaggery. It's like, if you want to say Rob, who I politely initially took by the hand and explained very gently and kindly, I didn't, I absolutely destroyed him. But nevertheless, he got an education in his wrong direction fallacy utilisation. He was corrected, and then he read out my winning point in regards to horizontal azimuth. That was what happened with Rob Noxious. Forward 50 minutes later, Rob destroyed you, man. Yeah, man, he absolutely destroyed you. No, he didn't. He got held down and fist fucked with his own fucking words. That's what happened. So that's what I'm doing. If you want to juxtapose the reality of somebody losing with actually winning, I'll take it up 5 notches where he's being pinned down by metaphor. At one point, I'm like, well, everybody's trying to pull me off somebody I'm doing the exact same thing with in a different scenario. I'm like, does the blood scare you? Yeah, with the same metaphor in mind. Yeah, because I want to make it as personal and egregious. I want it to be hard-hitting. Now, some people will go, well, that's just gross. You're like, you can't describe those things by metaphor. And I'm like, yeah, I can. In the same way, they can rewrite history where a loss, a devastating loss, that proved how flat Earth was being measured, is later suggested by, let's be honest, a complete cunt, is a win. Oh, Rob won. Really? Well, let's go over what was discussed with you and see if you agree with it. And when you suggest that down is south, as this Muppet did, I'll say the same things to you. Yeah? I'll mentally rape you. You will not forget me fist fucking you with your own flat earth prerequisites. That'll stick around in your mind for a while. Me, I forgot all about it the moment we stopped recording. Just carried on with what I was doing. I didn't care. But they'll remember that mental rape for the rest of their life. Why will they? Well, because they had the fucking nerve to suggest that a win by me, proving a flat earth was being measured, was actually a loss at the hands of some wanker. Another liar. So the wanker that's actually being suggested to have won also lied through his back teeth about having 18 million views on TikTok. You're like, no, you're just a liar. That's what you guys do so carefree and easily. Oh yeah, I'll just make up some shit life that I haven't got. Yeah, that's what these people are. Complete fantasists. They'll fantasize about flying around like Superman in an ISS tin can in a sky vacuum measured from a flat earth perpendicular to sea level. They'll suggest that being absolutely destroyed when it comes to their own prerequisite flat earth measurements, suggested with a fallacy to be ascribable in the vertical, they'll describe that as a win. And when they do, I will pin them down verbally and let them absolutely know what occurred. Yeah, you can tell yourself you weren't pinned down in this mental alleyway behind the bins, but I'll just make it that little bit more graphic visually. I'll let you really remember. I'll let it cement in your brain permanently what actually happened at my hands after you lie about winning. Yeah? Then I'll make it acutely aware. I'll drag you into this metaphor, the one who's lied about it, by forcing him to agree with the incorrect position that was taken by the person who lost, now being lied about winning. The person who did that lie had the same thing ascribed to them, and they won't forget it in a hurry. Yeah, live by the sword and die by the sword. That is the treatment we get from them. Where do you think I've learnt it? I was a pretty placid guy before getting to Flat Earth. Then I learned how to behave like this. And it is a mirror to their behaviour. But I use it at choice moments. Yeah? When these people describe me beating my kids, yeah? That's a complete lie, used in the same sort of terminology and tone that I use holding them down and raping them. What's the difference? Both crimes? Oh, what? Neither's true. Mine's by metaphor. The difference is they're actually suggesting I do that. So it's a mirror that I'm holding up. All right, you don't like me mirroring their actions. No, neither do they. I'm going to forget about it in a hurry. Yeah? So that's why I do it. It does make a mental impact. And the people who I'm doing it to, in this particular instance, admittedly, I grant you, by expose, the audience gets to hear it, and they will also have it mentally imprinted on them, right? But that's not the target. The target is the person that has inflicted this pain on us. I'll hold a mirror up to their behaviour. And when they moan, I'll be like, really? So let me get this straight. You want to suggest that Neil's got child pornography and is running some sort of thievery ring from his household, justifying the police being sent round? Yeah? A bit like swatting back in the days. That's what you're basically doing. You've decided you're going to be that criminal and swat us. But with police, social services, YouTube complaints, you name it, they've done it. So this is a direct reflection. Now, mine's a harmless metaphor. Harmless because no one's actually physically bleeding when I ask them if they're scared of the blood, as they metaphorically try and tear me off somebody, as they all pile on top of me to try and pull me off, akin to 100 mini-me versions of Smith. That's all they are. The same fart-sniffing dweeb repeated with facsimile. They're all the same as each other. So as they all pile on, I'll just give them that lasting, burning impression, which they all moaned about, did they? Good. Then it really did hit the mark, didn't it? Hit a little nerve, and they felt like they needed to moan about it in the side chats. Good. Because they won't soon forget about it. That's what you get when you lie. It's like, don't lie. Right? When you've lost, have some grace. Have some dignity. Yeah? Don't be a cunt and lie and suggest you've won, or suggest that a next man who's been absolutely annihlated's won, because I'll just take it down that extra notch. Where did I learn from? Well, from the people who've treated me like absolute scum for the last 10 years. That's where I learned it from. I'll do it in a way that I can easily justify. No, I didn't actually take him behind the bins and fist fuck him with a flat earth measurement, did I? No harm came to his precious little asshole. Let's be clear. But mentally, he won't fucking forget that in a hurry. That's what you get for lying. Don't lie about me. Same guy was putting words in my mouth that I didn't say. He'd just randomly make up some shit that was contrasting a ball faith when I hadn't mentioned a ball once. Not once. So when they start saying, so Nathan's saying that a ball doesn't do this, I'd lose my temper with them and tear a metaphorical strip off them and give it to them in a way that they're not soon going to forget about. And I absolutely will justify that till the cows come home. Yeah? In those arenas. Now, people who are like, you shouldn't be like that in the arena, well, don't ask me to be in that arena then. Right? You're asking me to jump into the scum pit. And you say, don't behave scummily in the scum pit. Really? You want me to be in there and be a little angel beacon of light in the scum pit? Now, the minute you're in the scum pit, you get covered in scum. That's how it is.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't. I'm sure you're able to separate that. Like when you're on your book tour and somebody's got you on, I know that that's not going to be the turnaround if you're going to be fisting somebody on the show. Or maybe it is. I don't know.
Depends. I'll do it where appropriate. If I'm up against 30 people, then yeah, there's a fair chance that'll happen. If suddenly I'm introduced to a rotating door of ball scum that are alleging that I'm beating my wife, then yeah, there's a good chance it will descend to that. That's how, that's how these things happen.
Don't let them deceive you, though. Every one of them that complains about the hostility, they're in there to view that.
Yeah.
They're in there to listen to that.
Absolutely. Exactly. And half the time, it's they want to get away with behaving like that. Like I'm being asked if I love black people. And like, all right, what you want to do is force me into a position where you can claim I'm racist. Yeah, complete cunts. Out to jeopardise my social reputation by the way they're phrasing a question to me. That has only one goal in mind when it's done. You want to tarnish my reputation. You want to turn around after this discussion and go, look, I told you he was a racist. That's the only purpose. So they'll sink to those levels in a heartbeat. Now me, I don't mind holding a mirror up to that behaviour. You don't like this behaviour? Oh, is it only you allowed to do this? You don't like it? Well, then don't do it. Then I'll do it with the example in tow of flat earth measurements. Oh, you don't like me describing you being pinned down with this example? Really? Well, then don't use it. That's what I said to Jesse. Same exact example. Oh, you don't like the way I describe your use of flat prerequisites. You're embarrassed for flat earth. Well, then don't use them then.
Yeah, I would have came at a different angle.
But Nathan, was your fist travelling like from east to west or north to south?
It had a rotational velocity, I can tell you that.
But he kind of got you there with that. I'm going to tell you why. When you said you had a black girlfriend, and I knew what he was going to do with that. It's like saying I have a black friend. So instead of just saying I love all black people, you said you had a black girlfriend.
Yeah, but it's true. If somebody's going to ask me about my experience with black girls, it's like I find girls attractive. Their skin colour doesn't really come into it. It's just how attractive they are. And this particular girl, I won't shame her by naming her in case she ends up being a viewer. I doubt it highly. But I remember going out with her once to the seaside, and we bought a box of cream cakes, right? And up until this point, we'd been having an absolutely lovely time. We sit in I think it was a hire car, and I open one of the cakes, and it's like a bit of a movie moment. You see in the middle of one of the cream cakes, a bit of cream. And what I did was I got it on my finger and jokingly and playfully wiped it on her nose. And this girl absolutely lost her shit with me. Lectured me for about 5 straight minutes on how long it took her to do her makeup. And I was like, this isn't going to work out, is it? I didn't say that, but in that moment, I'm like, I really liked this girl. It's such a shame this just happened. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be romantic and playful with her, and she just read me and how I am in a way that told me, no, this is not going to be the woman I marry. You know what I mean? I really liked her. She was a really nice girl. But it was in that moment that I decided. I remember.
There's a reason for that, Nathan. Black girls does take a lot of time to do their makeup. That is like freaking, you don't mess around with that. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm not disagreeing.
Was putting the cream on her face to change the colour of her skin.
He should have held his finger out for her to lick it. She would have definitely bought that.
I did before I wiped it on her nose. That's my sense of humour. I thought it would be funny. Now, don't get me wrong. I completely agree, right? It's not like I didn't understand the logic of her moan. I completely understood. But I'm like, yeah, but I want a girl who doesn't care. That's what I want. I want a girl that's like, yes, I have just fallen in this mess of mud as we're rolling down the hill. I'm not going to complain about the rip in my dress. I'll remember rolling down the hill with you forever. That's the girl I wanted, and she wasn't that girl. But when somebody asks me if you love black people, it's the word love that conjured the memory of a specific girl. Now, the fact that she's black is, as far as I'm concerned, neither here nor there. It's just I'm being asked specifically about an entire race by stereotype and my love for them. And it's like, well, what do you reach for? Well, a past experience with a very specific girl who happened to be black.
Yeah, that was a very democratic way. The guy set you up in a democratic way, right? That's how he set you up for that. Like, it's stupid. Like, I love all people. I don't like idiots and ignorant people.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like dumb black people. I don't like dumb white people. I don't like dumb Mexicans. I couldn't give a shit what race you are. I don't like dumbos.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'll say a couple of things on that. That was a stupid question on his part because he kept asking you, do you like your black neighbor? As if that proves anything. I could have a neighbor that's black, white, or Indian, and I might not like them. That doesn't mean I'm racist. If you're going outside and doing something for someone's skin color, that's racism. But if you don't like your neighbor, regardless of what skin color they are, it doesn't matter. But the reality is, we know why he asked that question, because that's the tactic. Because if he proves to the room that somehow you're somewhat racist, then what they could do is disregard everything you say. They won't even entertain you anymore, right? That's
Yeah,
what
it's a
they're trying to
trumped
do.
up. It's a trumped
So-
up.
Yeah, but he was
ad
a
hominem.
racist.
I'm in there debating the nature of reality, and when somebody says something stupid with regards to a prerequisite flat measurement, i.e., it's not, then I'll call them stupid. And the elaboration is endless in terms of how I can verbally extract out more vicious statements that just mean stupid. If you don't understand how a radius does not and cannot bend, then you are insert long stream of insults here that means stupid. That's all I'm doing. Now, I can justify it if someone says you're not allowed to call him stupid. That's an ad hom. No. If you suggest radii bend, that is stupid. And if you are the one who's verbalised that, I will call you stupid or a variant thereof. Now, if you don't like my language, tough shit. I don't care what you like. It's inconsequential when I'm demonstrating stupidity. That's the reality. What he's doing is only an attack on the man, hence glorified ad hominem. He's not there to try and explain how I've used globe measurements to suggest it's flat, and therefore I'm stupid because I'm using globe prerequisites when I'm saying Earth's flat. Therefore, idiot. He's just picked something specific to me, one man, so he can discredit me at a social level. Now, in terms of discrediting people, the same thing applies when I describe the hierarchy of intellectual conversation. At the lowest level, you've got people. At the midpoint, you've got events. And at the top tier, highbrow discussion points, you've got concepts and ideas. That's right at the top. Well, when somebody discredits you, they can discredit you on either of those three tiers. You didn't get this event correct. You didn't even know the date. Yeah? That's discrediting you based on your understanding of that tier, that event tier. This is one rung below where they say, you as an individual dislike black people. Therefore, your social credit score goes down. And we can, who gauge people based on social interactions, demean everything you say. And we will not care how much higher brow the discussion points you're utilising when you engage with us. I just want to destroy your social credibility. That's what that's doing. Now, it's scummy.
And I'll say this last thing because I got to go back to work. I just wanted to give you a rebuttal from yesterday. So again, in my opinion, it was good seeing you, and it's nice to see you once in a while that you come in there. But they could say anything they want to you, right? But the one thing they can't call you anymore is you don't have balls, because you definitely do. I want any of them, and I put a challenge out there to McToon, Wesley, Iceman, all these guys. I'll set up a room with 20 flat earthers. None of them will last 5 minutes. Let's see them go do it.
Yeah, that was never in question. My confidence level's indisputable. The fact that these fearful, low-life gamma dicks project their own fear onto me is a constant running theme throughout the last 10 years of my interactions with them. They are all fearful little dweebs. Now, I'm going to put the camera on to show my general demeanour, which generally doesn't change. There was a couple of points where I accidentally pressed the camera, and I've got my leg up like this, and I'm in the most laid-back position. Now, obviously, I can ham it up. I know I'm being recorded. I know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to put it on as a members video, right? But when I accidentally put the camera on, what betrays me is my posture, right? Because I'm just sat laid back in this chair. Absolutely annihilating them from the comfort of a living room chair. I didn't shit my short leg when I put that camera on just a second ago. I might have to check it. I've got shorts on today.
That just shows that you're so arrogant. Your arrogance.
I am.
And listen, McToon knew damn well that if everybody stepped aside, he could have had you one-on-one. And he chose not to.
Just coming back to that word, arrogant, right? There's an absolutely outstanding scene in a movie called Lorenzo's Oil. And it's describing a syndrome or disease or whatever you'd call it, where a person can't break down long chain facts, and therefore it eventually spasticates their muscles and causes their body to shut down, and then they die. And there was no cure for this. I think it's ALS, I think that's the term. Anyway, this movie is about one father trying to figure out how to stop his child dying of this degenerative disease that prevents him from breaking down long chain facts. He's in a discussion with a doctor, and he's explaining his findings to the doctor, and the doctor's basically doing what the ballers do to us. Well, are you a accredited doctor? And the guy's like, no. He's like, well, why would I ever listen to you explain this very complex chemical process when I am a qualified doctor? How arrogant are you? Now, the Nick Nolte character then breaks down the etymology of the word arrogant. I think it's Latin or whatever it is. I can't remember. It might be Latin. It might be Italian. Whatever the origins were, he breaks them down for this doctor. And he's saying to take ownership or to own the information, to take charge of the information is how he's describing what the etymology, maybe not the definition, of the word is. That is to say, he's taking ownership of this problem. And therefore, he will accept this term that the doctor has used when he says he's arrogant. It's to know. That's what he's telling the doctor. I am being arrogant. Yeah, when you know and you have a piece of information that you are going to lay out in front of anybody, it doesn't matter what their accreditation is. Yes, you can call it arrogant, and that would be, in the strictest sense, true to the word's origins. But it's an epic scene. Check it out. The movie's called Lorenzo's Oil, and it's the arrogant, or I think he calls it argante or something. I can't remember. True story. It is. It's a really good story. It's a true story. Obviously, yes. I'm sure they've embellished it to a degree, but it's based on a true story.
That's Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte's the guy who has that scene where he's explaining to a doctor that he is arrogant after the doctor suggests that because he's not qualified, he shouldn't be looking into how long chain acids are broken down. Like, well, anybody can look into it. You don't have to be a qualified doctor, and he's just presenting his research because he doesn't want his freaking son to die. So to be told, well, my education status outranks this information, and the dad is kind of trying to control his fury because he just wants to say to the guy, I don't give a shit what you're qualified as. This might save my son.
Yep.
I'm sure it'll be on YouTube if you typed in arrogant and Lorenzo's Oil. I'm sure you'd probably find a clip of it. I think he says it means to take for oneself or something like that.
I got it up here. It basically, the term evolved to mean claiming more consideration or importance than is warranted. Historically, someone exhibiting arrogance has been seen as asking for things to be given to them that they had no rightful claim to. Interesting.
Yeah, that's not how Nick Nolte broke it down. I'm sure he embellished it for the sake of dramatic effect. You'd have to see it in the context of the film. I'm sure the real person in the characterization, that is to say the reality it's based on, would not have had a discussion like that with the doctor. It's done for dramatic effect, is my point, even though it's a true story. But as a scene, it was just epic because it explains, by contrast to our scenario, when we have fart-sniffing dweebs telling us that we're getting a bit above our station, we're getting a bit arrogant. We're like, I don't give a shit what you think. When it comes to us telling you how Earth's measured flat, it's inconsequential how you think I should be qualified in engineering or navigation or surveying. It's like, I don't give a crap. I'm not a cartographer, but that doesn't mean I don't know how a map works or a compass.
Oh, yeah, they tried to bring science into it yesterday, too.
Okay.
Science into geography. Yesterday showed just how far want to say argument, debate, just how far this whole what's the word I'm looking
Geography
for?
lesson. Geography lesson.
Yeah, whatever. It's a geography lesson now, but this whole flat Earth, globe Earth, when it started,
Discussion.
when it got hot and heavy, yeah, this discussion, it shows you how far we've come. Like, and not boasting or anything, but I mean, we just acknowledged, well, once we recognized that horizontal baseline needed for everything. So it's like so simple to us now, but we did breeze right by it for years.
When you say how far we've come, what sort of distance are you talking about, mate?
Exactly. What I was trying to do for comedic effect yesterday was that ask me by metaphor how deep I've gone into the subject, right? And I'll be like, depths measured from sea level. Or
yeah,
what's
I
your...
see you doing that a few times. That was funny.
I did it for the kicks and giggles, right? So somebody else did it with perspective, like getting into a discussion that's just been rounded out and then asking me for my perspective on it. In other words, it's a rinse and repeat scenario. And rather than rinsing and repeating, I'll be like, perspective's a flat earth prerequisite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny, but it was driving them nuts.
I was just going to say that's good. I mean, I just did it there with Neil as a little joke, but you find yourself doing it because you can as a little joke, and that just shows how relaxed we are. It's not all like you on your just with your feet up and making jokes out of it. It's not so serious like you've been saying for how long. It's not serious.
Yeah. Someone says, "Look, I haven't got time to explain this to you." Time, you say?
Exactly.
Hey, can you break down in simplest terms how you would
down you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you break south how you would nicely say how perspective is a flat earth prerequisite? If you were on a TV interview and that came up, how would you, in the simplest terms, put in someone's mind how perspective is a flat earth prerequisite?
The description of angular relationships. That is to say, to describe angular resolution or the limits thereof, you need to describe angles. Angles will be described from a planar surface at zero for its baseline in all instances. It will and can only be described Cartesian. Hence, quote, conspiracy cats, I'll give you a flat earth for that, end quote. Because that's how it's done. It's done with respect to a planar surface to describe the angles.
So
that's when the penny dropped for me.
As an artist who typically when you're talking about perspective drawing, 3D perspective drawing, they show you the flat plane and the angles of your eye to the vanishing point at the horizon, right? All those are angles to a point where you can't see any further. Yeah. And it has to be on a flat plane, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's described with the angular resolution limit. That's the Rayleigh criterion. But you're tied to horizontal planes of reference to describe these angular resolutions with. Ergo, flat earth prerequisite, to answer your question.
It's basically angular size change with distance, isn't it? Like Polaris, isn't it? It appears to drop to the horizon.
Yeah, that'll be on the next.
Horizontal baseline to describe it, like Nathan said.
Yeah, that'll be on tomorrow's show when we do the last 10 of the list. The first one on the list is something like, parallax. It's like parallax is describing differential angle acquisition. Again, similar, which is why I brought it up now. You're immediately tied to a flat earth parallel baseline, vertical, horizontal, altitude, distance. It's all flat earth in prerequisite. So if you're going to describe, in this particular instance, parallax, then you're describing differences in angles. All roads lead to a flat earth.
What confuses the people and the globers on the issue of parallax, because they've only really been exposed to it as the fact of parallax of the stars. That's why we don't notice them moving, right? Is they're given pictures of the Earth on one side of the sun and a line going to the star, and then the Earth on the other side of the sun going to the star. And that's what they envision when they're hearing and processing the concept of parallax. That they're using the distance between the Earth and the sun times 2 to form the baseline, which we know is the celestial plane, right? Which is the equatorial plane of the Earth, for the baseline of that triangle to the light years away star. And so getting people to get that picture out of their head and understand that whenever we're looking at anything from the Earth, you are measuring an angle from a flat Earth. Instead of imagining that the ball is on both sides, each side of the sun, and that is the base of the triangle and all that stuff. Getting people to realize we're always and can only measure from the surface of the Earth any of these measurements that we're taking.
Yes, good summary. A good summary, because it ties into my general rhetoric currently, which is it's all measurements of Earth. So it's not just, all measurements of Earth's planar surface for an angle, or all measurements for prerequisite perpendicularity for altitude. It's just all measurements of Earth without exception. So if it's Earth measurement, I remember I only considered it this way when one deck asked me, is time a flat Earth prerequisite measurement? And without hesitation, I went, yes. And the reason I could do it is because of this exact mentality. That is to say, without your implicit understanding of flat Earth prerequisites in all regards to Earth's surface, you'll never be able to comprehend how other people have whistled past them. So once you know what surface level is used for anything, in this case an angle measurement, we covered it today with sundials, right? Once you're at that point, you're like, well, what that means is that the surface is flat and that's how it's always measured.
But you don't know if it's always been measured that way, mate.
Yeah, I do. Well, in terms of time, I do. Oh, I see. In terms of Craig suggesting that I shouldn't give it in such absolutist terminology, well, I can when I describe it tied to something. So in this case, time. If you're going to say, well, no, time wasn't measured flat, it's like, oh, okay. At what point wasn't it measured flat?
Well, I can't give you an exact time on that.
I'm music.
Yeah, it is amusing, though. Like when you're in a position where you can just be so and have some fun with these terms and words, like you just said, Nathan. And like Neil said, that will not that you're doing it on purpose to wind people up, but they don't like it because you just depth. Where did you measure your depth from? They're thinking, what's he on about? But that's you need a level baseline for that, or from sea level. It's like, God, this guy just doesn't stop. It's something they just can't deal with, and you that was highlighted yesterday. But yeah, we're nice and relaxed, and Earth is measured flat, and always has been. As long as the sea was level.
And if you go to biblical, it's always been level, because before the earth was formed, God looked over the face of the deep, of the waters before the earth came up from the deep. So it's always been level. It all goes back to water and bodily fluids. Call back to Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah, we've got the level. We've got level water, an average of level water, and then we've got depths below it and heights above it. I mean, that's where we are. That's how it's been. We've always had this. I keep saying always. We've got a level baseline called sea level. Sorry, I mean mean sea level, and that's what we use for these measurements. We're using a level measurement to measure things. And like Daddy said, that's how it was given us from the Creator. I mean, imagine the Creator having to go through all that nonsense of trying to, curve that water on a ball and put it into a vacuum where gas won't enter for some strange reason. It's much easier for him just to give us a level playing field, wasn't it? And put it's such an easier, simpler job for him to do that. Why would he make it difficult for himself? He wouldn't do that. Sure he wouldn't.
Yeah, to have a level playing field, you've got to be horizontal.
Exactly. What temperature? 26 degrees it's showing here. I'm just currently parked up in an underground car park where it's a bit shady, so I don't know if it's still hot out there or is it cooling down. Had enough of it now.
$26 degrees, you say? Is that a flat earth proof? It has been nice remembering or learning that all of the buzzwords. So shout out to your 30 words. That whenever someone says angle, degrees, perspective, anything, when they're talking about measurements, those are the.
It was like Nathan said to me when I did that. Nathan said, "Should we?" I had to pick a number to stop at because you could go on and on and on, like you're saying. You could just carry on with most of the words that you use to bring it back to a flatter prerequisite. So we had to draw the line. We had to draw the horizontal line somewhere. I was going to stop it at 33, but then I thought people are going to think I'm a Mason, so I'll stop at 30. And that's what I did. But people were saying, add this word, add that word. And I could have added loads of words to it. But 30 is a nice round number, isn't it?
Those darn Masons ruin everything with their numbers. Hey, I put the clip in Mass B. I am just, this whole week, I've been constantly reminded of Monty Python's Argument Clinic skit. And just rewatching that, just in the context of yesterday's show, rewatch the Argument Clinic skit, and it is absolutely, it just made my day.
Well, just describe it.
I'm here for an argument. Oh no, this is abuse. Arguments down the hall. Have you never seen that? Have you never seen that?
I have seen Monty Python a few times, but many years ago. Am I thinking? I know I might be thinking. Is it The Life of Brian? I think. What am I thinking of?
This is Monty Python's Flying Circus. They had a TV show for a while.
I probably have seen it, but I don't remember it. My mind's not like it used to be.
All right. Well, I put the full skit in Master B, and it's basically it's called the Argument Clinic, and a guy goes into a clinic at a front desk, and I'm here for I'm here for an argument, and
No, you're not.
the receptionist. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. You're not arguing. You're just being contradictory. You're saying yes, you're not. It's the Brits version of Who's on First, and it's just amazingly parallel with the flat Earth argument. And it's hilarious. You have to watch it. It's only 6 minutes, so take your time.
Yeah,
and
I'll watch that later.
Yeah, but the guy goes the first room that the guy goes to. Immediately, Graham Chapman is the guy sitting there. Just starts browbeating him, and giving him all kinds of cuss words. It's like a clean version of Nathan. Just slamming him, you stupid idiot, you shut your gob, and just blah blah blah, just going on and on. And the guy goes, what is this? I came here for an argument. And the guy says, oh, I'm sorry, this is abuse. Arguments down the hall. And just go to the next room. And then he goes, yeah, and it's just I just keep wanting to. If I had the time, I would just take audio clips and turn all of the arguments into the Monty Python skit, and it's hilarious. The other skit that came to my mind today was from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, was where King Arthur fights the Black Knight. And the Black Knight.
Mention black. Excuse me, you racist?
I know. There's so many ways to take this. The Black Knight is the Globers, and King Arthur is like, oh, come on, he's. And so, are you familiar with that scene? Where basically King Arthur's is fighting the Black Knight, and he keeps chopping off parts of his body. So he chops off an arm, and he says, "There, I've defeated you." No, you haven't. Yes, your arm has fallen off. Oh, it's only a flesh wound. Come on. And eventually leaves him with no arms and no legs, just a stump laying there on the ground.
Just come back, you coward. I'll gnaw your legs off.
Yeah. I'll come back here, and King Arthur's like, oh, come on, boys, let's go on our way. And they pass this knight that's just sitting there, this lump that's sitting there trying to bite him. And it's just hilarious. So watch that scene. And that's Nathan with the Globers.
Yeah.
And that's the attitude. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just saying that does sound familiar to yesterday's show.
That's a 10-year-old. That's a 10-year-old analogy we use just to help you out there a little bit, Surf Daddy.
But I bet we could watch one of them clips for a little bit of fun, and just explain that they put it in that context and scenario of what we're actually talking about now. And have a fun show looking at that, the Monty Python sketches, and relate them to the Globers, like you're exactly saying. We could actually do that on the show.
Well, like I said, the Argument Clinic's right there in Master B, Nathan, if you wanted to play with it.
I'll listen to it later. I don't want to play it. I don't want to risk the copyright. Yes, I have seen the Argument Clinic many times. I used to love Monty Python as a kid. Recently, Rob Ager took apart, not Life of Brian, the one you were just talking about, Holy Grail, and was classifying it as Kubrick-level filmmaking in terms of how intellectual the quality of filmmaking is. I can't remember if it was that or Life of Brian. I think it might have been that movie. So, Holy Grail, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I think that was funded by George Harrison, the Beatle. That is to say, they didn't have anybody that would support them in funding the movie, and they needed a couple of £1 million. And George Harrison read the script and went, "I'll pay for it."
What, was he Indian, George Harrison?
Yes, Bengali.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. There's another one of those cases where somebody has helped put a movie together that ends up being beyond classic and beyond, I mean, totally immersed into the public's psyche. You know?
Nathan, why don't you make a movie?
Because I haven't got any money.
And I got George Harrison's number.
It was Life of Brian. So it wasn't.
Yeah, I thought it would be.
Yeah,
I thought it would be.
When you make it, we as your friends will tell you it's no good.
Me and Neil will help you make the movie.
Can you imagine John Cleese having that conversation with George Harrison? Like, discussing the script and him going, "Yeah, I love it. I just want to see it made because I want to watch the movie." So being so rich that based on just wanting to see a movie, you give up a couple of £1 million, which by today's money would probably be more like 10 to 15 million pounds.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably more.
Probably more, yeah, you're probably right.
And what the amazing thing about that was they were getting taxed on like 90% of their money. That's why he wrote that song, Tax Man.
I wondered why you piped up when the Beatles are mentioned.
I heard George Harrison, yes, but I'm driving. And my back door, for some reason, it's not closing. The latch is not
Excuse
closing
me,
on the lock.
Don't mention back doors to Nathan.
Oh, yeah. Nathan, give me a little help here. How do I get this door? Because I pushed the latch and now it's totally closed where it's like the latch, I can't even push the door closed.
Pin that bitch down and
click,
fist fuck his
fold it
asshole.
over.
That's what you do to it.
What direction are you pushing it?
Same direction the fist would go up the ass, in Nathan's analogy.
South, north.
I'm actually pushing it east or west. I'm not sure. I'm trying to get behind it and knock it through with something like big and hard, pointy, like a screwdriver or something. But it's not moving. The thing is just in a locked position. This happened to me once before.
Neil, change your frequency. You're getting a little bit stressed out. If you frequency of the door and the lock, yeah, join frequencies, meld with each other, and the door will just open. Think the door's open, talk the door's open, and the door will open.
Me with my Mercedes one time, and it was like a stupid little thing. I pushed it and it just flipped back around, but I'm not remembering what I did. So I pushed it down and it totally closed. So now it's like I can't even do anything with it.
Well, you're thinking too hard. You need to just do a little bit of meditation, get on the same frequency of the door, think the door open, talk the door open, and the door will open.
What the bloody hell are you talking? Keep the door open.
Yeah.
Have you not seen that when they turn up the volume on that stereo and the whole door starts wobbling like it's liquid? Do that.
Yeah, turn it up one louder.
To number 11. Neil, have you got a drill?
Meditating, leave him.
He's busy thinking the door open.
I think you have to sit. You have to vision it. Either you vision it first, or think it, then do it, and then it happens.
Well, yeah.
Someone was talking.
You vision it, think it, and have done it, then it's happened, doesn't it? Because you did it.
Somebody was talking about that with the zodiac sign, saying, I don't know what they was on about, but they was on about the first zodiac sign is Aries, which is a ram, and there is that each zodiac sign's a part of represents part of your body. The ram represents part of your brain. Is it the cerebrum ram? And it's connected. It says ram in it, cerebrum, and then you got Taurus is the next sign, second sign. Taurus is the bull. And I think there's another part of the brain. Is it the cerebellum? I think it's something like that, cerebellum or cerebellum. And then Gemini is the next one, which is that's associated with the two arms. So what they were saying is they was relating that to the brain and how the brain thinks. And Aries is the part of the brain which is it's either the thought or the vision. That part of the brain, the cerebellum or the I can't remember what I said at first. That's part of the vision. The Taurus, the cerebellum, is the next part, and then the Gemini is the hands, which is the doing. So then they're the three first signs of the zodiac, and they're the first three situations where you bring things into action. If that makes sense.
It makes about as much sense as looking up into the sky, seeing all them frigging stars and going, "Oh, look, there's Pisces, the twins." It's like when you try to join the dots and then they say, "Now that's what we see." I mean, that's absolute rubbish, isn't it? How could you see a ram in the sky out of all them dots, you know? And then oh yeah, just those little stars there.
I don't know.
I mean, people talk about the plough. I mean, it's like just a big saucepan in the sky. Why would you think it was a plough or a frying pan? You know.
I think it's got something to do with the seasons, like a ploughing. You know, when it's in a certain position, elevation, angle from the horizontal plane, it tells you what the time of the year you should be, you know, ploughing. For signs and signs and seasons, I think it said in the Bible.
The Bible. I thought they didn't like the zodiac signs in the Bible. Zodiac's not in the Bible, is it?
No, the Bible says that's why the luminaries are there. God put them there for signs, seasons, times, and
yeah, but did he say there was goats in the sky and twins and people carrying water and things like that?
And ploughmen.
Well, that's where it gets kind of bastardized and turned into something different. And I mean, there's many places where they're talking about the astrologers and the people who are worshiping the sun, and all of that stuff, as you know, worshiping other gods. That's why it's so ironic to me that Helios and heliocentric is so well accepted amongst Christians, as well as the names of all the planets after other false gods. That they're okay with that. You know.
I think you find
no.
the real religion is probably school. What you were taught in school is what you believe. What you're taught at college, what you become a professional in is what you believe in the end. So if that's what you're told, that's good enough, isn't it?
Yes, and we, in this age, have been told that and taught in school about the heliocentric system.
I can't get
To Neil, come in, Neil. She's breaking up, Captain. Neil,
I don't know. I can
you're
hold
not
it
coming
any
through
longer.
very clearly. Sorry, carry on.
Neil, we didn't hear anything you said. You either need to rejoin or rethink your. Whatever you just said, we didn't hear any of it.
Okay, forget it.
We didn't hear it, so forget it.
Yeah, that's an annoying thing to say. How can you forget something that you never heard in the first place? It's just, it's annoying.
I'll forget what I didn't hear.
Victory! I said, victory is our end.
I don't play those games. Does Victory Royale mean that you've won everything and you've killed everybody?
So what happened was, all I had to do was get the lock open. The power? Hold on. On off, and it finally went on. It opened. Then all you have to do is like pull the handle, and then that thing will click right back in place. Thank God. You know that we got to be so damn poor. Surf Daddy.
Yo.
Yeah. That analogy was used. I forgot how many years ago. But what is that from? I never knew what it was from.
The Argument Clinic?
No, the one with King Arthur.
Oh, that's from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh, the movie The Holy Grail. Is that the one he's being tortured because he's with all the beautiful girls? And that one scene?
Yes. Oh, no, don't rescue me yet.
That's hysterical. I seen bits and pieces of it, but I was never able to catch that part that you and so many other people use as like a freaking analogy to what ballers are doing. Like every part of their body is cut off, not ignoring that with that. That was Rob Noxious yesterday. He's the perfect analogy of that. He was freaking disarmed, legs chopped off, and he was just gnawing at Nathan and saying, I won. I kicked your ass.
Yes. It's only a flesh wound. It's only a flesh wound. I don't know. The earth is just measured flat. Move along. No, it's not. I'm going to cut off every one of your arguments. Boom, chop, the arm's gone. It's only a flesh wound. Boom, chop, the other arm's gone.
And you know what? Can you do that though? Can you do that though with the measurements? That's one where they can't just say, "Oh, it's a flesh wound." That makes them stop and think.
That's when they say just because it's measured flat doesn't mean the Earth is flat.
When it absolutely means it's flat. Ain't that something?
Yep. But I can still ram you with my head. When he chops off the other legs and he's just a stump laying there. He can't move. Come back here. Come back here. I can still defeat you. I'll jump your legs off. And then Nathan, see, this is where Nathan should be like King Arthur and just move on. Come along, boys. Let's go on the rest of our quest and just walk on past. Come back here. Come back here. There's no argument. Come back here and argue with me. There's no argument. Goodbye.
He was trying yesterday. He was telling him in the beginning, it's not an argument. It's not a debate. I'm telling you.
And that's where
This is me telling you.
Yeah. And that's where the argument clinic skit comes to mind. He's John Cleese sitting there basically saying, the guy comes in, I'm here for an argument. The Earth is a ball. No, it's not. Yes, the Earth is a ball with a circumference of 24,901. That's a flat Earth prerequisite. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. What about Coriolis? Coriolis is a flat Earth requirement. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. I came here for an argument. Well, there's no argument. £5, please. That wasn't 5 minutes. Yes, it was. Oh, wait, you're arguing now. I could be arguing in my spare time. Just what Nathan was doing yesterday. Oh, I've got some spare time for not an argument.
All right, as the conversation dried up, looks like I have to round out. Hopefully it wasn't too much dead air as I stepped away. But a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If Earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.